Whoa. That wind is strong. Goodness. Man, blowing. Give me 1 second. I'm never gonna do it without my fans on. Oh well. Like you say, peace, Noble. Our people will be redeemed through the. Hold on, what you say, Noble? I'm sorry. I apologize, Noble. I ain't see what you said. I don't know how to work this stuff. Let me see. I don't know how to do it. Okay, said peace, Noble. Our people will be redeemed through the constellations of Capricorn. Our prophet was the truth. Islam. Islam. Give me 1 second, man. Get your pencils and your papers. And I'm just here to teach. I don't follow man. I follow the science. And the science is older than all man. Because there never was a time when man was not. And I'm not here to destroy, I'm here to build. So I tell everybody, if you're not here to learn, please remove yourself. If you like the teachings, there's nothing wrong with supporting what we say we love. If you like the teachings, Cash App $KG Bay, I will give you literature. Become a student, hit us up, and see what we teach privately. Subscribe to our Temple and School Instagram page at burningbushtabernacle.ts. But give me a second. Let me get this started. Like and share, man. And fact check everything that I'm saying and see, is there anything that I'm saying wrong? Fact check what I'm saying. Don't just deal with compilations. Deal with the sources of where the information came from. And seeing that's the issue with a lot of Moors. They mad because they don't have the source. They regurgitating definitions and not dealing with law and policy. And that's facts. If you say something that is legal and lawful, if you say nationality and spirituality is the order of the day, well, that has something to do with constitutional laws. That's a fact. Yeah, I got you, Noble. So I'm going to give it a second, man, for some people to log in. Like and share, man. We're going to teach today. Like and share. I don't follow no man. I follow the science. I don't gravitate to no religion. If we're going to talk about things and talk about historical facts, we must talk about it all. Because the pendulum swing both ways. It just doesn't make sense when you see Moors talking about the misnomer European and what this and that and what somebody done to you. But you know, you're not going to talk about what your own people done to you on a global level. The feds didn't murder no one. The person did. So we're not going to talk about how we bury our own people in shallow graves. In academia, when I tell people, it's no one's responsibility that don't look like you to teach the truth of who you are in history, law, and religion, and do it in scholarship. That's our job. That's my job. So I'll give it a second, man. More say they want to learn, but they'll follow things on Instagram and just follow snippets of things, but don't want to learn true law. Because everything, oh, wait, I brought it. Because everything a lot of the people be saying is not factual in law. It's not factual in law. You know, that's a fact. Like, for instance, man, when I talk about giving, because I'm going to talk about a couple of topics today, because it's Misnomer Black History Month, and our people are lost due to a lack of knowledge. Thanks for the donation, Noble. Yep, it's Cash App $KG Bay. Gratitude. But research what I'm saying and fact check and see if anything what I'm saying is wrong. Because of what most Negro, Black, and colored do is diss things that they don't know. And we don't do any research. We diss things because we listen to people that's not elite. And our own people is elite. That come from you. That's a prophet and a Messiah. So watch how I explain this. And you can fact check anything. Don't assume. Don't let nobody that's giving you mandates or not telling you truth, that's just pushing paperwork, no matter what level they're on. See if any falsehood of what I'm saying. Because there's only two things, truth and falsehood. And it's strangely mixed, because if you're not using discernment, you can be fooled. That's why the truth will make you free. 1 Thessalonians 5:21, prove all things and hold fast to what is good. Fact check, see if anything what I'm saying is wrong. When I say I don't deal with problems, I deal with solutions, because it's a solution to every mathematical equation. That's what I tell all my members and everyone dealing with me. When you deal with me, you got to get rid of everything except mathematics. And if you're not willing to relearn and destroy and build on solid foundation, there's no way you can deal with me. Because I'm versed in all levels of law. That's why I'm a Bay. That's why I'm an L Bay. So watch this little simple, this simplicity of tax codes, and no one can deny what I'm saying. When you have people that look like you, have you doing things illegal, like saying they don't pay taxes and Moors don't pay taxes, and not understanding the science of this. When Moors tell you they in the neighborhood and they don't pay taxes in their community, and the local laws trump all that. When you live in a local neighborhood and a community, I'm talking about restrictions in law. I'm talking about restrictions in law. Islam Noble, that's another one of my nobles. So watch me break down tax code and how we can help our own community and how we can support our own body without doing nothing extra. And I say our people are lost, and the European, the Albion, everybody else been doing this for decades because they operate in the parameters of the law. When you a church, when you a municipality, when you a charter, which are synonymous. Watch this and tell me if I'm lying. This is how I know we don't know what we're doing. When I tell people, I have more supporters and donors that's professionals and professors than I have Moors. Isn't that ironic? I'm alumni from 2 universities. I have an undergrad in business management with a minor in marketing and sales and nonprofit startup, and I have a dual master's degree from Grand Canyon University in first century history and religion and Christian leadership to understand how they think. That's the art of war. Now back to these tax codes. Back to these tax codes when I say we don't know the law. One thing about taxes is something that you agree to. Number 2 about your taxes is that none of the money that you give to so-called Uncle Sam is used to run the United States of the government. Is used, or excuse me, it sits in a private banking system. So if it sits in the private banking system, ask your tax preparer. That's not a person that make law. Ask your tax preparer. Is it your right to donate a percentage of your taxes to your charitable contribution, your school, your municipality that's a nonprofit of your choice? Now, I always like people to think, especially my brothers that's in 6 figures, that's athletes, and my brothers that make 100,000. I teach this all day. I give an example on a high level and a low level, and then that's a person just working, and tell me in my line about anything. I teach this stuff on the college campus. That's how I have donors. That's why I'm an organization. That's why I'm a church and a nonprofit. So watch this. Say if you making $1 million a year, right? Uncle Sam so already taking money out your check, however you get paid. But at the end of the year, you in a higher tax bracket. So at the end of the year, if you making 100 grand, I mean $1 million, your tax is gonna be, I just say minimum 100 grand. Now you have a so-called money advisor, a European, a Negro that fulfill your taxes because you just don't want to get caught up with tax evasion. So your obligation for the money you make is you have to pay that in taxes, right? Yep. So your so-called tax preparer, money manager, whatever, will pay your taxes, and he might cipher it through the other nonprofit organizations that you can donate to. That's his people, and they ciphers and get a kickback. Now watch this. You say you like what I'm saying, and you say you are more, and you make that type of money. I'm gonna show you both scenarios. If the law says you only can give 60% of that to your charitable contribution of your choice, and your taxes that you willingly have to give Uncle Sam is 100,000, why wouldn't you give 60,000 to the charitable contribution, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School? Why wouldn't you give 60,000 to the Burning Bush Tabernacle, and then if you got to give that other 40% to Uncle Sam, give that? Because that 60% from everybody would do wonders. Think about what I'm saying. And now the law says you can give 100%. Tell me I'm lying. I hope people are consistent with tax laws because laws change. I tell people, most people don't be on current things. If you're not current on law, then what? That's contempt of court. I can lock you up for 72 hours because there's no excuse of not knowing the law in a court of law. You can't tell me I'm lying. So if the law says that you can fulfill your tax obligation through your charitable contribution of your choice, why don't you? That's why people don't. Hold on. Sorry about that. I had to take a call. Think about this. So why don't we do this? Where's people teaching? What are our people teaching us about tax codes when they say, oh, you don't want to pay taxes? Okay, then what you gonna do? Go use that to buy some tennis shoes? Be happy because you don't pay taxes on some dog food or a goofy hamburger at Burger King, which you shouldn't be eating? I'm talking about how you can help the movement that you love. When people watch Sopranos and I say, why you think they was part of the Catholic Church? Because I'm not a minister, I'm a priest. It's like a client-lawyer confidentiality. The laws protect us. So why would any working man, any person that's working willingly give their money to an institution of willingly? Because when you get a job, tell me am I lying? You have 3 different taxes that percentages that you willingly pay, that you willingly say, okay, I'll allow them to take out my check, right? I'm talking about how you can support something. Yes or no? So you willingly pay that. And then when so-called tax time comes, you think you're getting the tax return, but you're only getting a small percentage of all that you gave. Think about this stuff. So if you smart, whatever you willingly give to Uncle Sam, you can file exempt. Whatever you're going to give, balance that out. Give that to your charitable contribution of your choice and give cash too, as a donation. So you give me your tithes, which can be you paying your taxes through your church, which is your right. Ask me, am I lying? Come on. Listen how the laws work. Because I don't tell nobody to do nothing. I explain everything. Okay, at one point, legally and lawfully, you can look up paperwork about charitable contributions you're giving as churches. They'll say you only can give 60% at one point. Okay, well, 60% is a lot. So you telling me if you were more and more be saying how much they make and you would willingly give all your money to Uncle Sam, 100% of your taxes instead of ciphering at least 60%? Come on, man. And now you can donate 100%. See, every more that's working, I promise you, they paying taxes because they be getting a tax return. You can look them up. I'm sorry. This stuff is too simple. It's the Free Information Act. See, Amora tell you this and all that, make video, and then you would check them out. You'd be like, well, you talking about something you didn't even do. We don't pay taxes. You work here at this job. You a bus driver. You a janitor at the school. Talk about you don't pay taxes. You a janitor at the school and you done got the shot making videos. Talk about what somebody shouldn't do. Cause I know where you stay, and it's the mandate, and the mandate ain't law. And people be getting forced to do things, and they'll make a video saying will tell you what not to do. And everything I'm saying is facts. The taxes you can donate to your charitable contribution of your choice. We should be supporting things that we love. We shouldn't be just sitting a bump on a log. We agree to have taxes withheld. I don't never tell nobody to break the law. When these people come with that European stuff about not paying taxes, that's not more science. That's some European Albion stuff. It was a European from Canada called the Paradigm Group. They all got in trouble. I'll show y'all documents of what the European did. Not only he got in trouble, all his people got in trouble. But yeah, he wrote books. And just because a person write books don't mean it's valid. You do all that stuff, it's criminal. And the European will show you that is criminal. And I show you how you can do things in law, how you can support your movement, understanding the rights of the religious people. The religious rights of the indigenous people. So what I'm here to tell y'all, man, is you got to get that hate out your head, and your own people will lie to you. Just like the film I showed you yesterday. It's no disrespect. The crescent and the moon, I told y'all, it's synonymous. But when people turn things and reverse things, you know they playing a game with you. I'm not here to hold nothing from you. I'm here to teach. And the truth will make you free. So before I even get into the science, into the books, I'm going to give a little history on some terminology. Okay? And I want you to research this, because it's things that a lot of people don't know, and it's things that people don't explain, and they don't explain it well. When the Moors say, a crime is when another party has been injured. And if that's a crime, if you're arrested, and if a person say you under arrest, that means you have the right to face your accuser. That's number uno. But and so then a Moor try to say, I'm a Moor, I can't get charged in no crime because it's with the injured party. And I say, okay, now let's play devil's advocate. If you rob a bank, right, and you get caught, this is what these goofy Moors say, it wasn't an injured party. Yes, it is. An injured party if you stole somebody's money. You injured them. You injured the business. You injured their operations. You put a halt on the things that they do. It is an injured party. That's how you can be sued civilly and criminally. I don't know what people be talking about. That's why I know they don't, a lot of Moors fraudulent conceal things. They get you caught up, and then you get caught up. Not knowing all law. Malfeasance, misfeasance, and non-feasance. Come on, man. What's the difference? Malfeasance in office is the doing of an act of which there is no authority or warrant of law. Misfeasance is the wrongful and injurious exercise of lawful authority, that is, the doing of an act which might lawfully be done, but is done in improper manner. Nonfeasance is a term used in tort law to describe an action that allows or results in harm to a person, to property. An act of nonfeasance can result in liability if 1, the actor owed a duty of care toward the injured persons, 2, the actor failed to act on the duty, and 3, the failure to act resulted in injury. Tell me, am I lying? Tell me, am I lying? You can't. They get you caught up and leave you hanging, aka hangman. You know, they ain't no legal reps. They're not well versed in the law and competent. They use you as crash dummies. Malfeasance is a common law crime. Common law. I'm gonna touch all this. Common law. Watch this. And that's how I know Moors don't study. Watch this. They hold up all books. And I say, this is one of the favorite things Moors like to hold up. Well, if you study what you say you holding up, I'm going over common law. I'm going over the source. See, compilations get you all caught up, talk about this and that. But you say you love common law, and I'm giving you common law. I ain't even in no black laws, am I? I know. More tell you what you don't need no more. You need all the sources where everything come from. The art of war is understanding how everyone thinks. I told you, they be playing with you. They don't have true lessons, true American law, true constitutional law, so you can be real versed. I ain't talking about a compilation, Morris. I'm talking about all law that trumps everything, what they agree with, what all the powers that be agree with. Ain't no disrespect to nobody. Ain't no disrespect. Come on, man. You can't tell me you don't want to learn about this. You can't tell me you wouldn't want to learn about this. Why wouldn't you? I teach the classes in academia, in advanced degree classes. You can't tell me you don't want to know about this. Listen, a trustee on arrest and false imprisonment. Definitions of false imprisonment. What constitutes false imprisonment? Length of time required. Damages and liability. Malicious prosecution. Arrest without warrant. The law of the land. Summons. Complaint. Memorandum of law on the arrest without warrant. Breach of the peace and felony arrest. You don't want to know about this? What is a breach of the peace? Arrest for breach of the peace. Threatened breach of peace. Conditions of felony arrest. Defenses to unlawful arrest. You don't want to know defenses to unlawful arrest? What they wrote? Burden of proof, good faith, and probable cause. Ignorance of the law is no defense. Guilty of party arrest. Immunity. When people be running their mouth, and I said, you ran your mouth. You shouldn't even open your mouth if you ain't getting immunity. The use of a warrant and arrest. And when you open your mouth, you told. Because you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used you in the court of law. Warrant to be in the possession of the arresting officer. Warrant to be in possession of the arresting officer. If you under arrest, that means I got to face my guilty party. The party that said I did something. I got the right to face them. About, are you detained? Shut up, shut your mouth. I tell y'all, when you being pulled over for anything, it's the law that protects you. If you was a student, you would know. There's nothing wrong with being taught. Any prosecutor will tell you, I'm telling the truth. You put your license, registration, proof of insurance in an envelope right there. I don't talk to the police. Say the law about that. If that's it. I ain't rolling my window down. I ain't doing none of that. And then if this the thing, oh, I smell marijuana. I smell it too. I smell it on you. I'm going to get the dog. Okay, is the dog an officer? Yes. Well, I don't consent to you giving a search of my car. So why the hell you think I'm going to let your dog? See, this is the law. It ain't no crime to smell like no marijuana. Marijuana is legal. So what? I smell it on you. Invalid and unlawful warrants. Bring or arrest persons before a magistrate. And smelling like marijuana is not a crime. Duty of officer. As a trespasser. I mean, I can go on and on, but I don't want to do that. I'm making a point. When people say, oh, you don't need this, you don't need that, you need everything. And then they hold up the common law books and I'm breaking down common law. That'll tell you right there, your brothers and sisters, is limited. Malfeasance is a common law crime. Statute of limitations for criminal prosecution. States in pertinent part prosecution of non-felonious offenses which constitute malfeasance in office shall commence within 2 years next after the commission of the offense. Some Virginia statutory and case laws. States in permanent party, any officer or other person searching any place, thing, or person otherwise than by virtue of and under a search warrant shall be guilty of malfeasance in officer. I hope y'all listen. The Virginia legislature has thereby made it clear that the officer's authority to search is only by virtue of and under a warrant issued by a proper officer. Thus, any search without a warrant is an act for which there is no authority or warrant of law, a malfeasance in office. When you say you got to know the proper language, not talking about this and yelling, arguing, who's going to defend you in your proper manifestation? Your legal rep. Not nobody under the British Annotated Registry that a lot of these Moors have when they get in trouble. They get a court-appointed attorney. I'll show you who was on their case, and then I'll show you what they were arrested for. Not nothing they say. All lies. All lies, because it's public information. And where the thing done by the officer is purely ministerial, and the officer is instructed with no discretion in the premises. If he exceeds his authority and does not act officially for which there is not authority of law, he is guilty of malfeasance in office, although there is an entire absence of any corrupt or evil intention. And I'll give you the case law. There's so many different case laws, but if you were a student, you will know. Any act in breach of duty of public concern by one who has accepted public office is within limitations about to be stated. A crime, particularly, is this, so where the thing is of a ministerial or other like nature, and the officer is instructed with no discretion. Citing numerous English and American cases, the limitations referred to are cited in the next section of this science or this law. Above cited and quoted from and so far as material to the case and judgment refer to the distinction above adverted to between the doctrine applicable where the officer is required to exercise a judgment of his own and that applicable where the officer is not trusted with any discretion. So when Moors be holding up public officials or this their oath or was their oath to defend the Constitution, which every public official agree on, they all have it. It's public information. That ain't nothing new when a person hold up something. Well, I got to get that. Man, that's public information. That ain't nothing heavy. You don't have to pay for that. Just like I show y'all the 1010 number when Moors and some sheiks be saying that's some trust fund. It ain't nothing but a religious affidavit. You can get it from the CCRD, the county clerk or recorder of deeds. All these lies. You can't be mad. So that ain't nothing powerful. Nobody got no special magic and they don't spray some dust. It's free information. We talk about this on the college campuses. It's nothing new under the sun. This is old stuff. We know every public official signs an oath. An oath to do what? Defend the Constitution. The same way I have. I break this down. All these Moors say they have nationality papers from the temple. Well, they understand what I'm saying. Our amnesty oath. Come on, man. These is facts. These is facts to defend the Constitution. So what's so heavy? Because you go to a court area in your city and you say, look, I got this oath. That ain't nothing. That's elementary wisdom. And we think everything that's elementary is magical. It's not. In Cutchin versus Roanoke, Supra, which was a proceeding for the removal of the mayor of the city of Roanoke, the following statements of the law are contained in the instruction given by the trial court, which were approved by the court, namely, the court instructs the jury that malfeasance in office is the doing of an act for which there is no authority or warrant of law. When you're talking about you can't get public officials out of office and you voted them in, you don't know the laws. That's why I tell y'all don't want a dog in a fight. So you don't want a Moor in your community and you live in a community that sit in public officials. That's a Moor can teach the law. And you say nationality and spirituality, and nationality is the order of the day. That's law. Being an international Moor, that's law. That's international law. That is civics. What are these Moors talking about? You don't want to deal with law and talk all this shit on the internet and ain't in the real world, ain't in the colleges. That's crazy. Court's instruction number 5, the court instructs the jury that malfeasance in office is the doing of an act for which there is no authority or warrant of law, while misfeasance is the wrongful and injurious exercise of lawful authority. That is, the doing of an act which might lawfully be done, but is done in an appropriate manner. Gross negligence of official duty is the willful failure of refusal of the officer to perform the duties imposed upon him for the enforcement of the law and the preservation of good order and morals. The word willful, as used above, and in the rule to show cause, means an obedient to the will, that is, a purpose to do or leave undone some official duty imposed by law. I'm giving you law. Now, how to defend the law, you got to be a student. Felonies, misdemeanors, and traffic infractions denied. Offenses are either felonies or misdemeanors. Such offenses as are punishable with death or confinement in a state correctional facility are felonies. All other offenses are misdemeanors. Traffic infractions are violations of public order as defined in 46.2-100 and not deemed to be criminal nature. I hope y'all listening to me. Traffic infraction is not nothing criminal. You get put over or you get okay for speeding. License and registration, proof of insurance. Here go my license and registration, proof of insurance. No, I'm not opening my car, this, that, and the other. That ain't no probable cause. And the law smelling marijuana is not no fucking probable cause. And then they sell marijuana in the stores. Keep your shit in the proper way when you traveling. Don't be doing nothing stupid. Let me repeat this again. Traffic infractions are violations of public order, not deemed to be criminal in nature. Islam, thanks for the donation, though. But what he say, man, your teachings is amazing. He like, I'm an older man, 58 years old, and nobody teach the science, history, law, civics. Thank you, man. Gratitude. And thank you for the donation. Cash. And this brother been getting books from me, man, way before I was live. He used to hit me up and say, man, I'm going to show y'all. And now I got my PDF books. This brother done got all type of books, fezzes. He said, man, you made it easy for me. Everything I share, and I make it available. A lot of stuff I paid a lot of money for, and I being able to convert a lot of stuff to PDFs so my people can get it for a small fee. And I'm an organization. I'm tax exempt for the federal government. We a real organization. We a real church, municipality, school. What I just said, let me repeat this. Offenses are either felonies or misdemeanors. Such offenses as are punishable with death or confinement in a state correctional facility are felonies. All other offenses are misdemeanors. All other offenses are misdemeanors. So you got to know this. You got to know this going in so you can say for the record how to defend yourself and somebody defending yourself through the law. You got to know this. Or you got put over all these times. That ain't no criminal offense. Traffic infractions are violations of public order as defined in 46.2-100 and not deemed to be criminal in nature. So why would you get locked up in criminal in nature for a damn violation of public order? And it's not deemed to be a criminal nature, and they lock you up as some criminal. Traffic infractions is nothing criminal. Same, where no punishment or maximum punishment prescribed. A misdemeanor for which no punishment or no maximum punishment is prescribed by statute shall be punishable as a Class A misdemeanor. How common law offense is punished. A common law offense for which punishment is prescribed by state shall be punished only in the mode so prescribed. Malfeasance in office, malfeasance in the office of Virginia, malfeasance in Virginia, misfeasance, nonfeasance. I could talk about a lot of stuff, man. I'm just giving us a crash course. It's so-called Misnomer Black History Month. I'm just going to teach. That's all. I'm teaching to spark something, to challenge you. I told you what malfeasance is. I told you what all that is. Corporate malfeasance, criminal. Okay, I'll break some down like corporate malfeasance can range from unethical to illegal actions and can include cases that cause physical harm to another person. For example, Morris, say you are an American company who produces flooring in another country. And in the United States, we have laws that govern chemical regulations and waste. Like when I was doing crating, when we was making these crates, a lot of our wood have to be, tested the right way when it came from other places. And if you are producing your flooring in another country because you are attempting to use chemicals that are not allowed in the United States, then your actions are unethical. While your actions are not illegal in that country that you're getting it from, you are still engaging in an unethical, deceptive practice to profit because you know what you're doing is unethical. Here, you got to know this. And no, it's no excuse of the law not knowing it. And you can be subject to malfeasance in civil court. Civil is where you pay. I ain't say criminal, civil. And forced to pay damages to any individual who are harmed by your chemicals in your flooring. Everybody know I'm telling the truth. Come on, man. You should want to go to my criminal and civil law history, especially when I deal with real other criminal cases. In criminal court, malfeasance can apply to cases that cause financial damage or physical injury to another person. For example, medical malpractice is an act of criminal malfeasance. And if someone died after poor treatment by a licensed doctor, the doctor can be charged in criminal court for neglect, homicide. And in corporate cases, a company that causes harm to an individual through deceptive practices can be criminally charged with securities fraud, conspiracy, or even money laundering, depending on the details of that case. Tell me I'm lying. It's nothing that I'm saying is false. Not one thing. Not one thing, y'all. Islam. So back when I tell more, who lied to you? Who buried our teachers in a shallow grave? Come on, man. I just gave y'all some terminology to understand, right? To research. I'm always transparent. And then I share things with y'all. Like right now, as I'm teaching today, that's like a person say, well, I can do this myself. I never said you couldn't do nothing yourself. You can do your taxes or yourself. You can do all those things yourself. But I hope you know what you're doing when you're doing those things. And if you don't, I will hope you smart enough to have the right person defending you in your best manner and not having you do things that you don't know, having you doing things that they wouldn't do. Everybody should have this. Everybody should have this. Everybody should have this. When I did the lecture, everybody got it from me. You would pay for it on Amazon and everything. I have it PDF right now. All you got to do is hit me up, a little $5 donation, bam, a little small $10 donation, bam, I'll send this to you. It'll be available on mypdfbooks.com. But why wait? You can get it right now. It's no reason. You can fill your library up and then you can ask questions. You can ask those more. What about this? Or what about this? Or what about this? Or what about this? Or what about this? They're not going to know. Or what about this? What about this? You got to ask because they don't have the law where they get certain terminology from. And law is law if you know who you are. Everybody know I'm telling the truth, man. There's nothing to be mad about. It's nothing to disagree. I don't believe. What do you don't believe? If you don't believe something, that means you basing everything, your understanding, on your own. And I'm here giving truth and all law. You don't have to like what I'm saying. Thanks for the donation, Noble. Yep. Cash App $ KG Bay. Mom, he was like, keep saying your Cash App, man. He said, you got 10 people on here. He said, everybody should have gave a donation. But it's all good, man. He said, I'm writing every name down. That's good. I feel you, Noble. But if it's on your heart, it's nothing wrong to give a donation. It's nothing wrong. So look, I'm going to show y'all books. Sacred Drift. All these books that Europeans write about our prophet. You see who Peter Lambert Wilson have? AKA Hakeem Bey. Hakeem Bey, the European Albion Jew, he wrote all the Moorish paradigm journals. I got them all. Look who we have on the cover of his book. This is how I say all my PDF books can be downloaded and binded in book form. I have the machines here, but if you're in a different area and say you pay for a PDF book on mypdfbooks.com, all you got to do is send it to Office Max and Staples, and they'll download it and bind it for you like this. So why would you go and all other platform and pay hundreds and hundreds of thousands and hundreds of dollars for a piece of paper, and you can get it from a brother that you say that you are more, that you love? Everybody should run to My PDF Books right now and get books. Everybody should go to MorrisHaberdasher.com and get the Moorish American Regalia and Fezes if you say you want to learn, because I read everything. I read the whole books. You can write in them and everything. So what makes a book that you'll get from Amazon somewhere better than what you'll get from your brother? And your brother have it for a plethora of the price. And your brother will have it for the plethora of the price. Answer that question for me in a rational question. The reason why we won't support it is because we hate ourselves. And this is what the European tell me. When I go places and I show them my cars and things, all the stuff that I do this stuff in real life. And so Morris be posting books, and I say, where you get that from? Amazon, or I paid this much of money. And I'm like, but I have those same books on mypdfbook.com for a fraction of the price. You can download them on your tablet. You can go to Office Max and Staple, have them bind it and print it, or I'll bind it and print it for a fee. You willing to pay somebody else to bind it and fee it and pay a price? Why not pay me for what you want? You don't have to give me nothing. Just get some books. If you like what I'm teaching, give a donation. Come to Sunday school. And so look how much these books cost, and then see what I provide them for on My PDF Books. Look who they got on the cover. Our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Let me read an insert in here. When people be talking about they didn't know about our prophet. Y'all saw the film I played yesterday. The Muslims, no disrespect, I love everyone, knew about our prophet, but then they changed the crescent and the moon to the opposite side. And then they try to say the first time they saw somebody with the fez is Fire Muhammad. And then in the same breath, they'll say Noble Drew Ali was the first person to bring more science, Islam to the American Negro and the word of fez. And then turn around the same voice and say the first time you seen somebody in the fez when Fire Muhammad came. But then you would say the first time you seen the fez with Noble Drew Ali with his people with the Moorish Science Temple. And then they'll try to act like they don't know nothing. And I showed you pictures and documents with Elijah Muhammad with the fez on and they Moorish ID cards in Detroit, Michigan. Come on, man. It's not slander. Stop saying somebody else lying to you. The pendulum swing both ways. Now watch this. Let me show y'all stuff. This is in the European Jew, no disrespect, that studied the science and changed his name to Hakeem Bey. Peter Lambert Wilson, Sacred Drift. See how much this book costs on Amazon and see how much we provided for. Look what's on the front of the page of the book. That's why before you read anything, I hope you know what you're looking at. Signs and symbols. Don't you know what you're looking at on the cover? This is prophetic. Look at the cover of this. The European been telling you, and you ain't been listening. Look and see when this book was authored. When I talk about Spencer Dew, the Aliyhites, man, Europeans been writing about the Prophet Noble Drew Ali for decades. Peter Moon, Spantu Mysteries. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, 1925. Y'all got to remember, our prophet was before a lot of these people that came after him. For years before his death, posing formally, listen what he's saying, posing formally as Prophet, Sharif, and Mason, from who was Noble Drew Ali by Isha al-Mahdi. Lost and Found Moorish Time. Listen to this. Crumbling 1920 photograph of an American misnomered black man dressed in a robe, sash, and fez, posing formally, hand on breast, like Napoleon. No, Napoleon is posing like our prophet. Labeled Prophet Noble Drew Ali, 1886 to 1929. 1886 to 1929. Look at the timeline. To recover the meaning of this obscure and enigmatic portrait, we must rediscover a lost or secret portion. A lost or secret portion of our own history. This is what the Europeans saying. See? A lost portion of our own history. You know? Yep, that's books with a Z. A lost portion of our own history for American history. It didn't say this history. It didn't say Moorish history. It said for American history is defined for us as much by its absence and disappearance as by its official presence. Indeed, perhaps even more so. The official sources describe Noble Drew Ali as the founder of the first Black Islamic sect in America. Now, if the truth, he was less than that, and that's true. He wasn't the first Black Islamic sect in America. No disrespect, because you had Abdul Hamid Solomon. You had Deuce Muhammad. Research Deuce Muhammad. Research Abdul Hamid Solomon when they went to the that big grand Masonic in New York. And no disrespect, and showed those Europeans it was our science. Research what I'm telling you. There's no disrespect. The official sources describe Noble Drew Ali as the founder of the first Black Islamic sect in America. In truth, he was less than this, for there were Black Muslims, M-O-S-L-E-M-S, 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 here before him. But he was also more than this. He was an American prophet. So here it is, the European telling you our prophet Noble Drew Ali is an American prophet, and we gonna get mad and act like we don't know, and we read our 101s. What is a prophet? Clothed in the flesh. What is an angel? Clothed in the flesh, giving the divine message and warning. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with supporting your brother? We have a school and members. Some of my nobles are on here. He could have stepped. Listen what he say. He could have stepped from the pages of Melville or Ishmael Reed. Listen what they saying. A thought of Allah clothed in the flesh. That's what I am. A thought of Allah clothed in the flesh. That's what you are. A fact. A poetic fact. A poetic fact. I don't want to get all into the science because I want you to read it for yourself. Go on mypdfbooks.com and get the science. I got all type of documents. If you want documents, man, it's nothing wrong with getting a donation for what you want, for you can have it and touch it and feel it. This is the preface, understanding the importance of status and jurisdiction. And I'm not going to get all in it because there's no reason. I'm just going to show y'all something where people hide. Stuff already been done locally. Moors don't tell the truth. Moors be limited. And it's no disrespect. We just talking about law. Stuff already been done. I told you, if it's law, if it's already done, then what we do? Defend the Constitution. It's the Moorish American nation versus the United States of America, United States Congress, United States Supreme Court. I don't want to read it all because I've done this stuff before. But I'm going to show you something. Our divine constitution of the Moorish Americans, we already had. I'm going to show y'all something when I talk about vanguards. So, from the desk of Grand National Chairman Sheikh Elihu in Pleasant Bay, the great God is our guide, protection, and salvation through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. So, I'm about to show y'all something. Let me highlight this. Dear readers, be advised that the above declaration and proclamation of the Moorish American status and jurisdiction has been mailed as a notice to the President of the United States via his father, the 31st President. Remember, when you mail something in the mail, it's official, no matter if no one responds. That's what you got to remember. I'm telling you, man, watch this. Via through his father, the 31st President, through the following diplomatic missive. This missive was received by his office. A diplomatic missive is that letter. This missive was received by his office. What missive? This letter. It was received by his office on April 24th, 2006. 2006. Oh, yep. Thanks for the donation. Yep. Cash App $KGB. A noble was like, man, he said, I need everything you have. Man, I share it for small donations. He like, it's nothing. He was like, Morris be buying. We don't have to talk about that, man. It's all good. Thanks for the donation. But however, there has not been a written response as of this date, June 7, 2006, and it's now being submitted in the worldwide public domain. You can research this. The Moorish American National Government, from the desk of Sheikh Elo Pleasant Bay. I read that to you. Honorable George Herbert Walker Bush, Office of George Bush, ETAL 10000 Memorial Drive, Suite 900, Houston, Texas, 77024-3412. Dear Mr. 31st President, enclosed is the Moorish American Declaration Proclamation. Oh, wrong side. You can't tell me I'm lying. So why we all don't have this? We trying to play make-believe. The letter was sent. I want to read the whole letter because it takes too much time. And then I'll read the end of it. Say, Mr. President, we humbly ask you to send us immediate acknowledgement of your reception of these documents. This is necessary to avoid redirecting the course of these inevitable evidence. If it is your will and pleasure, you may issue instructions and arrangement via phone call, email, write, or otherwise contact one direct at the contacts below my signature. We look forward to the great day when former slaves and former slave masters can link themselves with the families of nations, and none will be in want of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Upon your request, I will forward you the list of cabinet officials, which will be present. For your distribution, we prepare enclose 5 original copies of the Moorish American Declaration Proclamation of Status and Jurisdiction. Each copy of the aforesaid document and this missive will bear the embossed National Moorish American seal to assure their authenticity. Through our high principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, Elahi in Pleasant Bay, Sheikh Elihu Pleasant Bay, Divine Minister, Divine Minister, Divine Minister, Divine Minister, Divine Minister, Divine Minister, Grand National Chairman of Moorish America, Divine Minister. A sheikh must be a divine minister. Or what you talking about? Here go the proof of the postal and delivery receipts to President Bush. I mean, come on, man. So Moorish gonna talk about we ain't gonna deal with law. Well, what you dealing with? You don't want to be in political office in your community where local laws trump everything. That's your fault. That ain't Clock of Destiny. State booklet. See, I told y'all I don't follow man. Just like the European to tell you the truth, the Negro have to tell you the truth because the truth can be researched. And then when you research the truth and your brother that's wearing the fez lying to you, you can bring them on charges. Of what? Fraud, fraudulent concealment, because they know they're lying to you off the jump. I'm telling you. I don't deal with characters. We all have a past. Malcolm had a past, but you or more, you got that fez on, you should be doing nothing criminal. You shouldn't be doing no fake ass taxes. You shouldn't be having nobody do no fake taxes. You shouldn't be doing none of that. And if you are, I'm going to call you out because you doing criminal things, and that's premeditated. See, to your people in the burning house, and that's what a lot of Moors do. See, they can't lie about the manuals and stuff because it's looked up. They'll put their names on the stuff, and then when you research them brothers, you'll be like, well, why you had to go to court and all this stuff for filing fake tax returns and shit? What's that all about? See, so I ain't here on no Negro side. Don't get it twisted. That's why I left them Negroes alone. I stand on truth, and I do that alone, whether it fills a room up or it clears it out. I'm cool with both because I'm gonna be who I am in real life. Period. And a prophet is no good in his own country. I understand that. But I'm going to give you all a little insert of the Morris State booklet. We on good time today. Thanks for the donation. Yep, it's Cash App $KG Bay. And I have all this for y'all. All this you can get for small donations. You should want to have it for you can have it in your library. So when any more saying something stupid, you like, no, especially the exhumed of the nation. I'm about to teach. I hope y'all there. Get your coffee. If you're at work, put your ear pad, put it in your ear. Like and share it. Send notifications. I'm operating on love, truth, peace, and freedom and justice. And honors to the great God Allah, the Father of the universe, and the holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I wish to expound on how the Moorish Science Temple of America was declared and recognized a free national government throughout the earth. And sometimes, as Moorish Americans, in the new era of time, a lot of Moors struggle on explaining who we are within such an ignorant and unconscious society, being based in the color of law and the concept of Christianity. But in reality, Moors, if we teach and do this great work as a government properly does, while running this ecclesiastical body politic and corporate, then people of all levels will understand by our works and deeds and may be fulfilled on this divine and national movement as well. Our prophet Noble Drew Ali stated, a beggar nation cannot attain to the highest spirituality. And I will keep the Europeans here long enough to teach you how to run a government. So let's stop begging for what we should be working hard to retrieve, but retrieve it ourselves. Because the prophet is keeping the so-called European here long enough to teach us how to run a government. And we do all these quotes, but don't run our government and don't be in the government race and don't play in none of these arenas. And this is what we should learn how to do. So this pamphlet was put together to help you realize how serious this divine and national movement is and to expound on what our mission is. And our mission is to do what? Uplift fallen humanity. Our mission is to uplift fallen humanity. And all nations have missions to fulfill. If you a nation, our nation is to uplift fallen humanity. All nations have a mission to fulfill. And we will appoint missionaries. I'm telling you who. That's the rights of the religious rights. And we will appoint missionaries. If we have a mission, I'm a missionary. I'm a sheik. I'm a tribal leader. I have people that's with me that we adopted. We have ID of our affiliation. And we have to appoint missionaries to make certain that those missions are taken care of. Or you're going to let somebody else use the laws and everything to organize and everything, but you're not going to do it. When I tell people I'm a fraternity, what you mean? I'll give you a prime analogy. Okay, just like when frat houses be getting all those different houses, I'm the same thing. You got to understand this. Principality, fraternity, district, school, you got to understand this, how to operate legally and lawfully. So I hope many more take from this science that I'm giving y'all and take your faith out of man. A prophet, an angel is clothed in the flesh, man. What's wrong with that? And a precious value in understanding and knowledge of this free national government being incorporated under the Heard-Smith revised status of the state of Illinois as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate. So if you're dealing with Noble Drew Ali and all this, why you want to change something that you can't? Why you want to change something that you can't? In a court of law, when you say who your power of attorney can go for life no matter when you die. That's a trust. Come on, man. A living trust. And it's other forms. I'm just trying to get you to think and look up things. That's why the Vatican State was incorporated under this particular act as well since 1929. Thanks for the donation, Noble. And in this basic science that I'm giving y'all, the Moorish Science Temple of America is written in the best of our knowledge. If we want to add on to it with facts, that's fine. But I'm not here to destroy. I'm here to fulfill and build. And if there are corrections that need to be made, then please share them with us. And don't share your belief. Let's deal with facts and see what we can stand on. So watch this, the definition of state. Let's be clear. Today we making things clear. Thank for the donation. If you like what I'm saying, man, don't be bashful, give a donation. Don't be afraid to like and share this, especially if you are more. And it's okay if we don't know and we've been following people lying and all this stuff can be researched. So let's look at the definition of a state. A state is a people permanently occupying a fixed territory, bound together by common law. We ain't saying nothing about no dollars having our own money. It say a state is a people permanently occupying a fixed territory, bound together by common law, habits, customs, into one body politic. That sounds like religious rights. Exercising through the medium of an organized government, independent sovereignty, and control over all persons and things within its boundaries, capable of making war and peace, and of entry into international relations with other communities of the globe. A political unity. Concretely viewed, a state is a body politic possessing sovereignty. Any body politic possessing sovereignty is entitled to be called a state. Fact check me on that. This is a good characteristic to describe the Moorish Science Temple, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple. The people described in this state would be described as the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the members of the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple of School. And by definition of state, the fixed territory for our state would be northwest, southwest, northeast, and northwest a maximum. The common law habits would be focused toward our practices, and the chapter 32 of the Hearst Smith revised status of the state of Illinois. And then you will hear more. We don't need that anymore. Well, what you talk about, you don't need no anymore. And the prophet set something up. I'm not here to destroy. I'm here to fulfill. Well, you don't got to go through Thursday to get to Friday. Man, I'm not dealing with your court jester ass. By definition of the state, the character who would be independent sovereignty in our state is the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Our Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali is the true sovereign. There ain't no such thing as no goofy ass sovereign citizen. That's an oxymoron. Moorish Science Temple of America is a sovereign body. We are not sovereigns, but members of a sovereign body politic and corporate. In comparison with this term state, let's now define the term body politic. Body politic is defined as a social compact by which the whole people covenant with each citizen and each citizen with the whole people, that all shall be governed by certain laws for the common good. Also a term applied to a municipal or a municipal corporation, school district, county, city, state, or public association. And when looking at the term government, we can see that this term has a connection with the term state, body politic, and body corporate. And we can understand the similarities of these particular terms. Watch this. Government derived from the Latin term Gubernaculum, gobernaculum, which is defined as the system of polity in a state, that form of fundamental rules and principles by which a nation or state is governed. Polity is the form of government, whether theocracy, federal anarchy, etc. There are many forms of governments, but this particular form of government that the Moorish Science Temple of America is known is a what? Theocracy. A theocracy is defined as government of a state by the immediate direction of God or by the assumed direction of a superstitious divinity, or the state that govern. And as a member of this body politic, we recognize the creator, God Allah, alone guides this divine and national movement. A theocratic entity differs from the form of a secular entity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple of School, is a divine and national movement that has divine laws and holy laws that each member are to uphold and preserve. So we're not against this said government. And so when Moors be talking about doing all this, you ain't going to get, you're operating outside the parameters of our laws, of our divine laws. These is facts. And our holy laws that each member are to uphold and preserve if they are to earn the name of the faithful as afforded by what? Act 7 of the Moorish Divine Constitution and bylaws. Research it. Act 7. Research it. Moors operating outside because you want to jump all into some goofy stuff. The Moorish Science Temple of America was established as a religious corporation by filing the affidavit of organization, document 1010-5905. I'm gonna get the letter next because it's upstairs from the county clerk of registered deeds with telling those so-called Moors that you wrong. Everything they saying is wrong legally. And then they call themselves a sheep. And then they make videos. I don't care how old you are. And know you lying. Form 101099 recorded in the recorder of deeds office in the county of Cook, state of Illinois on August 1st, 1928 AD at 2:52 p.m. 2:52 is 9. At that time, through the affidavit, our Prophet Noble Ali gave birth to a free national government as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate under the revised status of the state of Illinois, chapter 36, section 36. And you check out the science. July 20th, 1928 was on the third day in the beginning of a new moon, all that stuff. The Heard Smith revised status, chapter 2, an act concerning corporations, section 36, Religious Corporation Act, played a huge origin on the establishing the Moorish Science Temple of America as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate. So how can any subordinate temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America not operate under the Heard Smith revised status, chapter 32, section 36? Because the prophet set it up like that. Because this act clearly states that, and I quote, any church, congregation, or society formed for the purpose of religious worship may become incorporated in that matter follows by, and Negro to say electing. No, we don't elect nothing. We appoint from your wisdom according to its uses or customs at any meeting held for that purpose, 2 or more trustees, warden or vestrymen or such officers which powers and duties are similar to those of trustees. But to be a trustee, it got to be something to trust. I shall be agreeable to the usage and customs, rules, or regulations of such congregation, not nobody else, your rules and customs, church or society, and may adopt a corporate name. And upon the filing of the affidavit, as hereinafter provided, it shall be and remain a body politic, because you said it, and a corporate by the name so adopted. They get mad when we teach the truth. They get mad. I mean, here goes the original document, how the prophet set the temple up. I don't want to stay too far in this. You can get these documents. Thanks for the donation. I want to proceed. We teach it. White by law, the legal construction of race. Man, we ain't even went nowhere yet. The Zodiac Constitution by C.M. Bay, Library of Congress, AA 222141. When people talk about some AA 22 number and don't know the truth, if they did, then you would know what I'd be saying about the Daughters of America Revolution. You would know what I'd be saying about the Zodiac Constitution birthrights. Article 1, the 12 signs of the Zodiac, the code of mathematics, scaling from 0 to 9. That's 9 ethers. And the science of geometry, the G, compromised the constitution of the living Moorish nation of North America, referred to as Negroes, who ruled the world, and the 7 seas by the 12 signs of the Zodiac and the science of geometry for 1196 years to the Amazon Dutch German Catholic priesthood. Fathers of the Revolution of 1789. Don't that sound familiar? Also the Daughters of American Revolution that wear the white fez with the gold tassel, that call themselves some Eastern stars that our empresses join, which don't make no sense. And the Sisterhood, Magna Charta or Carta, Emancipation Proclamation, Union Society, no disrespect. I'm telling you what they say of white supremacy, but ain't nothing supreme over me. In 1863, North America, the 12 jurymen of the 50 Union State Society and also the 9 judges of the Supreme Court were founded upon the Moorish nation's 12 signs of the Zodiac, Constitution, and mathematics scaling from 0 to 9. Thus, without our Moorish Constitution, the Magna Carta, Emancipation Proclamation, Union Society of the myth of white supremacy definitely could have been founded in 1863. Article 2, the Zodiac Constitution birthrights, the Moorish American, the L's and the Bay. Since 12 jurymen of the 50 Union States Magna Carta document of white supremacy and 9 judges of their Supreme Court founded on the Moorish science Zodiac. See? The Moorish Zodiac, the 12 sign, mathematical constitution. Lawmakers have no jurisdiction over free Moors, the Bays and the L's if you're operating right. I'm not saying breaking no laws. In the inherited land of the Moorish nation. I'm going to break this down for you. I'm going to show you in the consular courts. the Moorish American nationality and their surnames, Bey and El, which is your Resolution 75, are their inherited birthrights without a legal due process of the lawmakers of the Union Society, USA. What our Moorish forefathers were, we are today, without a doubt or contradiction, namely Moorish. That's why the census, your El and your Bey, is going to identify who you are off the dribble. I taught that yesterday. Tax and military exemption for Moorish Americans. That's why a lot of stuff I don't read, because Moorish take stuff out of context. Immortal marriage license code against zodiac law of nature. Islam, supreme standard of the zodiac marriage law. The Negro is the property of the Union slaveholders. The Moors must respect the court by saying, I affirm. Here, the court has no jurisdiction over them, which automatically makes them qualified to defend themselves by their zodiac constitution law, which is your right. If you're competent of the law, they be telling you. And their mathematical number 9. The number 9 corresponds with the letter I, based on the 9 months from conception to birth, which makes you yourself the great I am, the first and the highest law of self-protection and self-preservation in harmony with your zodiac 12 signs, unchanged constitution, moral law of 360 degrees squared by your number 9. And the Moorish zodiac constitution is referred to in Christian mythology as the Holy Quran or the Al-Quran, meaning the earth, the moon, the sun, and the 7 planets, or chronological zodiac record of the Moorish nation, of the North Gate, North America. The name Muhammad, prophet, religion, God, church, temple, and mosque were established by the Dutch Anglo-Saxon priesthood, the Franciscan father of North, who overthrew the Moorish Society of Islam between 1789 and the Union of 1863. When I get into the Clock of Destiny, Volume 1 and 2, I teach this. Y'all know what I'm saying. The Moors, the Beys, and the El must never attempt to teach nothing else outside of what we're supposed to. And if you want to see things, seals, there's no disrespect. See, people be lying. You can get all this stuff. Look at the 8822 number, which Moors be lying. And they do all things wrong. And they have mixed teachers where say, our prophet told you to go to City Hall and get a marriage license. And then you'll see some writings that say that. But then the original stuff, our prophet said, if you don't want to go by what I'm saying, go do that. Because he said, okay, if you don't want to listen to my teachings, do what you must. Clock of Destiny, Volume 1. Ain't no picture of Jesus, ain't no picture of Muhammad. Here goes so-called Muhammad right here, the son of God, with all the astrological signs off of it. Come on, man. I don't want to get all into the science, but I'll highlight some things. But that's why I be Moors. They talk about some sheiks and everything and try to diss masonry, which is the science. And I say, okay, if that's the case, then the term mason implies master. MESSEN, or messenger, which simply means one who possesses scientific knowledge of the works of nature, as shown in the 12 signs of the zodiac. Such knowledge makes one conscious of the fact that his universal mind makes him free to propagate truth, contrary to secrets, falsehood, imperialism. And then more say, well, I don't read that, I don't study that. You can't be an adept and a sheep, because the science is older than any man. Egypt, the term Egypt implies productive soil in the North Hemisphere, especially the United States of America. Thanks for the donation. Cash App, $ KGB. And Canada, Upper and Lower Egypt. When they talk about Thebes and they talk about Memphis in the Bible, that's Egypt. No disrespect. And the white sons and daughters went to Egypt by the stroke of a pen. The red fez with the symbol of the star and crescent or moon without the symbol of the sword is the headdress of the Moors in its hemisphere. The Moorish fez represents the supreme height of wisdom and practical knowledge of the science of the 12 signs of the zodiac, the universal law, and the constitution upon which civilizations is founded. Today, the red fez of the culture of Moors is worn by, no disrespect again, white sun wizards of the Order of Christ, namely the Protestant, Methodist, Baptist, and the jury of the Jewish of the United States of America, aka Freemasons. The red fez worn by the sons have the star and crescent with the symbol of a sword on top, which represents subjugation of the Moorish woman. The Christian Bible is the book of the dead images. I told y'all, it ain't no disrespect. It ain't no disrespect. I'll teach the science. The secrets of the number 9 involving women and children and the 12 signs of the zodiac is referred to as the rejected stone. Thus, the stone that the sociologist of the Christian world, rejected in the days of old, becomes the head of the corner in the atomic age, which as follows. When I break down the first month of the year, mathematics and the zodiac, I don't want to stay all into that. I'm just setting the precedent. And how can one help himself or herself and others without exposing some so-called secret? How can you say you have the keys and you ain't going to vote and you ain't going to expose the secret that your own brothers hide on you? And they wear this fez and clandestine. The code of mathematics, scaling from 0 to 9, 3, 6, 9, and 12, constitutes the ever-present code of the law, which never grows old or ancient. Neither earth, water, air, and heat, which is fear, fire, earth, air, river, light, or electricity, will ever grow old or ancient. Neither woman, sons, and the letters of the alphabet will ever grow old and ancient. The whole of this which comprise the one great body of the ever-present living truth, which therefore is not a mystery and neither a secret. We agree with this, I'm sure, and all secret orderisms involving religion, symbolism, and mystic passwordism are our own ignorance of the realities which dwell within us and about us. That which individuals have in their minds unexpressed is a secret. I can express myself, so it's not a secret. It's sacred. Having expressed to another that in mind, then the great secret has been exposed to the outer world. The inner world is our universal subconsciousness, our subconscious mind, which dictates to our reasoning mind. Thus, our subconscious mind is the inner world, referred to as the all-seeing eye, or in our exuna of the nation, our ijana. Our reasoning mind is the outer world, referred to as the light of the world, all of which derive from the woman, the creator of all sons in the course of 9 months, from the conception to birth. Your fez represents that too. The woman is the grand master architecture and the carpenter, the zodiacus of the human body and mind, which makes all ones Muslims, regardless of the shade of skin and color of our eyes. All male babies are sons of the 9 months from conception to birth. In Christian mythology, the number 9 have many names, most common which are Nin, N-I-M, Nimrod, N-I-M-R-U-D, Nimrod, N-I-M-R-O-D, and Nun in Catechism. I'm telling y'all, because every child is born on a square and angle of 90 degrees, 9 months from conception to birth. That's why the term Muslim implies the works of nature involving the human body from conception to birth on the right angle motion or the square of 90 degrees. The great circle of the earth comprises 360 degrees squared by the number 9. 9 goes into 360 degrees 40 times. This is the number 40, which involves the Christian order of the Klanism Society, which Senator Biblo of Mississippi had referred to over the Meet the Press program in 1946. See, they know it. They know that. That's Clock of Destiny Volume 1. It's Clock of Destiny Volume 2. Now, we're going to get into some Council of Courts. Now, watch this. Watch me break something down. I'll be laughing at people. I'll be like, man, you're going to get somebody hurt with that fake stuff people be coming up with, acting like domestic terrorists. I told y'all Moors are confused on navigation. I did this lecture a long time ago. Moors confused on navigating, talk about some expatriation. You expatriation, and then where you at? You a domestic terrorist, guaranteed. I thought you was a Moorish American. They get to saying they're a foreign national, and then when it come down to real stuff, they say, okay, where your affiliation with another area? When they really get down technical to it, you don't have none. I promise you. So when it really come down to it, because it's a part of the law missing, which it's the gray area. That's why people will get they handed to them. Now I'm going to read something for y'all. The treaty between the United States and Morocco give to the council of the former, listen, exclusive jurisdiction in disputes among the citizens of the United States. And in criminal cases, it is provided by the 21st article of the same treaty, which reads as follows, and I quote with a silver tongue: if a citizen of the United States shall kill or wound a Moor Or, on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States. So here it's showing you that it's making a distinction of the two, a Moor and a citizen of the United States, which you can be both, but you don't understand. The law of the country takes place, and equal justice shall be rendered. The counsel assisting at the trial, and if any delinquent shall make his escape, the counsel shall not be answerable for him in any manner. The treaty between the United States and Madagascar, all United States and Siam, I can go all along with treaties. So what they say, what I tell people when they say, "Oh, we above the law," man, where are you getting that goofy shit from? It says that if a Moor kill an American citizen and vice versa, you want to be treated under the same parameters of the law as the American citizen, not under some black Christian codes. Come on, man. That's too simple. I'm telling you. Don't be mad at me. We having a great time, man. We on good time. Look on Amazon to see how much this book costs. I have it available. It's nothing new under the sun. This John Coleman, Tavistock Institution of Human Engineering. This whole book, I did a whole dissertation on the college campus. And when I was lecturing, one of the professors raised his hand. He was like, "Excuse me," they called me chic on campus. They were like, "That book is $4,000 on Amazon." And then one of the students in class was like, "Yeah, but he provided this for us for like $40, $50. That's why everybody that deal with me when I be on the college campus, and all the students that I tutor, when they graduate, man, they graduate with honors, and all the professors be amazed because I deal with advanced science. Nothing that they can dispute. They try to hide this stuff. I'm telling you, they try to hide this stuff. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Listen to the topics. Finally, the world's premier brainwashing institution. Europe falls off the precept. How times were made to change. Social engineering and social scientists. Do we have what H.G. Wells called an invisible government? Mass communication ushers in polling industry, the making of public opinion, degrading women, and decline of moral standards. How individuals and groups react to blending fact with fiction. Polling comes of age. The paradigm shift in education. Lewin's doctrine of identity change. The induced decline of Western civilization between two world wars. America is not a homeland. The media's role in propaganda. Scientific propaganda can deceive the very elect. Propaganda and psychological war. Wilson gets the U.S. into World War I thanks to propaganda. This is what the Europeans saying. And you mad and you scared of history? Is history being repeated? The case of Lord Bryce. The Black Art of Successful Lying, a Gulf War in 1991, the Soldiers' Memorial War, World War I cemeteries. Peace is not popular. The Tavistock Institution brings control of the U.S. Brainwashing saves a U.S. president. Tavistock's assault on the U.S. How mediocre politicians, actors, and singers are puffed. The Tavistock formula that got the U.S. in World War II. But listen to what he said. How mediocre politicians, actors, and singers are puffed up. We should be putting our scholars in order. Like my European professor said, it's for your people to put you there. Who they should be listening to? Nobody but you. No disrespect, and I'm not the only one. How Tavistock makes well people sick. I mean, I can go on and on. I have this stuff available and much, much more. Now we're about to get into the meat and potatoes of the topic. It ain't even going to take long because I'm going to bounce around. I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Make this real easy. Remember, the United States has never been without its so-called slaves. Remember that. Remember, the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 did not free a single Negro, black, or colored slave from the legal binding slave laws of 1779. United States Constitution, 3/5 clause. Keep that in your head. However, not the same can be said for the 13th Amendment of 1865. The first of the three, write this down, Reconstruction Amendments, did in fact abolish the institution of slavery, but then it opened the door of freedom to all African descents in the North America. And you got to make no mistake about it. The 13th Amendment was the greatest and only document of manumission. Look up what manumissions are, ever to be enacted by the Congress of the United States. although the 2 sections ratified were just watered down versions of the 20 sections originally proposed. Just 1 section was needed to free all so-called African descents from their mental slavery and constitutional bondage in the United States. Right? Okay, let's deal with this. Come on, man. Thanks for the donations. Man, we should be going viral. This should be going viral. It's Misnomer Black History Month. I'm teaching. More say they more, share the messages. We should be sharing. Everybody on here, you should have no problem give a donation. If you hear, we teaching. Come on, man. And in order to understand why the 13th and 14th, 15th Amendment, particularly as pertaining to America's slaves, ex-slaves, and granted privileges, people talk about civil rights. No, I deal with my human rights, unalienable rights. As opposed to rights, we need to focus on what prompted the ratifications. So I don't want to stay in all that. But we talk about how they make a citizen and all that good stuff. You can get Exhuming of the Nation from us. Look how much it costs on Amazon. And then go on mypdfbooks.com with a Z and see how much it costs. Right in the preface, it tell you no one can nationalize you and denationalize you. And you got these more going around lying, talking about how to claim my nationality with some clown you done met on the internet. You done sent this person all your information, your social security information for what? And then they put dates on it. Well, then they'll talk about the stuff that the government issue, and then these Negroes do the same thing to you. They ID got dates on it, so you expire. And then they'll say the same thing about something else. I said, man, this is goofy. Ain't coming to my people with that trash. Now watch this. What most people fail to realize is during the drafting of the great document, the European men aged 21 were the only people recognized in America. Women, other nationalities, and slaves were not considered as whole persons or people, at least not with rights that the pale-skinned man had to respect. It takes a number of persons to make a people, as was written Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. The word person was summarized into fifth, and 5/5 made one complete person. These is facts. Tell me if I'm lying. 5/5 made one complete person. This person, as endowed by the Creator and the laws of nature, was declared the whole number and a free person. Oh yeah, thanks for the donation, Noble. Gratitude. This endowment with this totality of fifths made a complete and a perfect person, and subsequently a citizen. So why would anybody with some sense talk about us black people, we know law? Well, according to science and law, black means deaf. Why would anybody that got some sense talk that black stuff? Black. That's craziness. Right now, you know that got to be some COINTEL, especially if they say they smart. You know? I ain't done yet. Research for yourself. And what I'm saying, I challenge us to do some research, to remove all the veil of what somebody's telling us and do some research. And when the U.S., so when the U.S. was first formed under this Constitution, its sovereignty was for and by the people, mankind, and the word person was used by the people to describe their property, business, and fictional beings. Persons gave life to corporate American oath, affidavits, notaries, and the self-incriminating pro se used by straw men. When they talk about some jurisdiction in prisons, a lot of them Negro Masons, they don't want to tell you this, you know? But those who know the law understand what I'm saying and know the difference between sovereigns and citizens, you know? Just like some of the amendments, freeborns and bondservants, Moorish Americans and Negroes, church members, or unalienable rights and inalienable privileges. If the assumable citizen of the USA only knew the true legal definition of citizen, you would be ticked. The true 5/5 components of a natural person. Number 1, spirit, the indestructible God essence in man, soul. Excuse me. Soul, actions of the mind's power. What my noble said. Look, let me tell y'all what this guy said. I peeped that in the Black's Laws Dictionary. It says that black means deaf, incompetent, not sound mind and law. Real talk. Oh, one of my guys I'm on live. He like, man, do you teach at college? I told y'all, I teach. I done taught at GCU in the doctoral library as a scholar and a nonprofit, and my teachers and lectures be way more packed than the classes. I got letters from parents was like, how can you teach my kid how to operate and open a business and all this in a day? And he done been in school for 4 years and he graduated without none of this stuff you can teach him because I was the student. So soul, actions of the mind, powers, thinking, reasoning, willing, and understanding. 3, body, flesh, human vehicle made of the earth, often indigenous to the land of birth. Often indigenous to the land of birth. So just like when you're dealing with wine, and the wine connoisseurs talk about what's the appellations of the grapes. What's the appellation? What's the appellation? Nationality, the descendant birth attachment through an especial, and you deal with beer like Modelo. It's called the especial. You don't know? It got all your signs and symbols on it of the Moorish Empire. An especial nation or tribe, free national name, Revolution 75, where you annexing your B and your L, which makes you a Moor. Noble Drew Ali didn't tell you to get rid of your name. He didn't say your last name was a slave name. I'll tell you your last name is your family crest, your coat of arms. You give your credit to somebody else, and they named themselves after you. I'm telling you. Nationality, the descended birth attachment through an especial nation or tribe, free national name, lineage, identity, creed, religious path of God consciousness, established through forefathers, vine and fig tree. I got to keep this. Thanks for the donation. He said, keep saying your Cash App $KGB. Gratitude, Noble. I love y'all too, man, in Michigan. Gratitude. I'm from Flint, Michigan, so I got some people I'm on here talking to as well. But anyway, so above, what was taken from you that put you only your 3/5? Number 4 and 5, nationality and creed. Your divine creed were the two main fifths extracted from African nationals. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and many other European Freemasonic slave owners who signed the Constitution of the United States also wrote in their chattel. They wrote in their records. They wrote in their chattel as what? 3/5 of a person. So all those presidents wrote in their chattel that the Negro, black, and colored is 3/5 of a person when you identify as a Negro. AKA the Dred Scott Law was never abolished. AKA in the courts, what? According to science and law, black is dead. Silver mortis. Tell me I'm lying. Because most Moors don't know Latin. Most Moors don't study books. I say black laws, it's okay, but I don't use that. Those are not constitutional laws. Those are just terms. Those are just definitions. Okay, cool. A person say, "Oh, I got black laws," but I bet you ain't got Black Laws Volume 1, because in Black Laws Volume 1, it don't got no definition as black, because in first century, black wasn't used to describe ethnicity. Can't tell me I'm lying. That's checkmate on anybody that come with that black shit. Excuse my candor. The Willie Lynch, a lie. Every scholar know I'm telling the truth. The Constitution thus became the first legal national deed of ownership of African slaves in the new nation. This act alone legalized racism and apartheid in the interior fabric of the new American culture. Further, it politically certified all Negro, blacks, and colored as 3/5 of all persons, and at that level of a beast. Any man without national roots from which to draw strength and the great God for his guidance is no longer a complete man. And for those who keep up the total commercialization of corporate USA as portrayed in The Wizard of Oz, you can easily see that the Negro, black, and colored as purely a fictional character, a fake citizen, painted in the same scheme as an ex post facto government. Our Prophet Noble Drew Ali and myself in the flesh. We're trying to give the lost found the shoes necessary to rejoin human family of nations. Our nationality is 4, and number 5, our divine order. It is impossible for us to leave the land of make-believe without our shoes handed down by our ancient forefathers. Now all they have to do, and all we have to do, is apply our will and climb the tree, the 3 steps of the thinking ladder with its rounds of belief, faith, fruition. That's in our Moorish Quran. That's in our Moorish Quran. That's in our Moorish Quran. Chapter 7, verse 25 and 31. So to attempt to remove in whole or in part 1 or more fifths from any man is a conscious act known simultaneously as both a sin and a crime, especially when these Negroes that say they sheiks, they can nationalize you and denationalize you. That's a crime. You should be charging them the same way as you would try to do the European. Any Negro say they can nationalize you and denationalize you, they lying. Because I can show you right in the preface of the Exhumed of the Nation. If you don't have it, go on mypdfbooks.com right now and download it. Download it right now. On Amazon, it costs $2.50. I got it for a plethora of the price. Why don't you want to get it? That don't make sense. Ironically, the United States judicial system marks this violation as a federal crime and is known throughout the U.S. courts as denationalization. So here it is, your own brother is denationalizing you. When they say they can nationalize you or denationalize you and talk about you got to jump through some hoops. See? The irony in this crime is that it's committed manually by every state since the 14th Amendment, and your goofy Moors call themselves sheiks became law and then written state sealed upon the live birth of every freeborn Moorish baby in America. But denationalization is played off on the birth certificate as another Moorish baby is born when we talk about the Negro and the sardine. When I show you what type of sardine people think where the fish come from, I'll show you. I'll show you. I'll show you. This is too simple. That's why I say in your biblical scriptures, don't it say, beware of lying lawyers? When I talk about most people, Negro Moors, when they attorneys, they under the British Annotated Registry. I guarantee you. And I'll show you law that you can defend yourself in the law, anybody else, if you're competent of the law. I'll get a doc numbers. Beware of lying lawyers. Any lawyer worth his salt of the bar exam will lie to you, swear on his Bible, and declare blacks are citizens of the U.S.A. because the term other persons of the U.S. Constitution refers to slaves. Watch this. But the 13th Amendment abolished slavery and or the Dred Scott decision was replaced by what? What was it replaced by? The 14th Amendment and or what? Other amendments specifically eliminated what? The 3/5 formula. What these first servants of the courts would not tell their clients is that no constitutional laws has ever been handed down by Congress to teach back the latter 2/5 necessary to make the free slave into a whole person. Because you got to be whole again. Negroes, we talk about reparations, and Negroes be putting rims on raggedy cars. That ain't giving it no value. You got to restore it back to its original state before it was tampered with. So before you get some reparations, you got to restore it back to your original state before you were tampered with. See, these is keys. Everybody know I'm telling the truth. A person must be made consciously whole before he or she can become a citizen, have the rights of a citizen, and be subject to the jurisdiction of a citizen. See, these more to say all this, and I just gave you consular court laws where it said if an American citizen kills a Moor and vice versa, that Moor want to be judged on the same parameters as that American citizen under laws, not under the black Christian codes. Tell me I'm lying, y'all. Because if you want to expatriate from this de facto government, and if you want to expatriate from this de facto government, who you have alliance with? When you give all your rights away and talk about this de facto government, and you talk about you're expatriating from this de facto government, who you have allegiance with? Because I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll wait. Don't be mad at me. I'm telling you truth. You are a domestic terrorist. I don't give a shit if you got a fez on when you do that dumb shit. I'm a Moorish American. Everyone, I do mean everyone, anywhere on the planet Earth has all 5/5 and are whole except who? The Negro, black, and colored. The so-called blacks made in America and the Siddhis or the Siddhis, the Siddhis of India. The 13th Amendment abolished physical slavery but left psychological, mental slavery in full effect. That's why when these Negroes and all these black people that graduate from colleges and they be in them fraternities branding themselves, because you know the Greek is a fraud, and they talk about they read Carter G. Woodson book where Carter G. Woodson said, how can I listen to anybody that identify as black? So, hey, whatever. But mental slavery in full effect. And this violates the 2/5, the right of mind, the soul of the 5 gifts. Thanks for the donation. He like, say it again, Noble. He said, you ain't saying it every couple of minutes. Cash App $KG, babe. Sorry, y'all. But the 5 gifts of the Creator. Speaking of one's right mind, It reminds me of how Christianized Negro, black, and colors would pray to God, no disrespect, some that don't look like them, and thank him for allowing them to wake them up this morning, clothed in their right mind. And little did they know, the mind they woke up with and the gods they were presently serving are not theirs inherently own. That's my observation. So with the ratification of the 13th Amendment, the enslavement of human bodies is now legally enforced upon criminals duly convicted as punishment for crime. Yet the ex-slave still existing within the United States is held powerless and subject to its jurisdiction. Their only crimes was being of African descent, guilty. So the 13th Amendment merely closed the door of slavery in the South, which was without power at that time. And then it opened the jail gates of the U.S. government to protect itself against rudderless ex-slaves. And this is why most modern prisons call jails plantations. That's why President Lincoln also said, my people, my people. So when that person say my people specifically in the Bible, it says my people are lost. So come on, if President Lincoln also said it, we can't use the same language. He said, my people do not want them. So he giving you a distinctive people. He said, my people do not want them. Who he talking about? My people don't want who? Slaves to become citizens. Whether the slave, a Negro, black, and colored, is a slave for life. The Dred Scott Law was never abolished. That's why in science and law, black is dead, silver mortis. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. And then you got these Negroes talking about I'm black, Black History Month. All these brothers that think they smart, all these Christian brothers, all these fraternity brothers. That's sad. And here I'm giving you law. Physically alive, but spiritually dead. If you say you love God, Allah, then God is law. It's justice. If I could unite my country without freeing the slave, I would do that. He was actually expressing a European national sentiment, right? No true red-blooded American wanted to free the slaves, although the ratification of the original 13th Amendment with its full body of the 20 sections did not reach fruition. It is still of the utmost importance for its historical adjudication before the 1864 U.S. Congress to be known to African descendants, especially number one. The enactment of these laws was all about the emancipation and freedom of their recent grandfathers. And two, when the full Senate vote on passing the 13th Amendment was yes 38 and nay 7, the U.S. slave population was 98% illiterate, and not one of them was present to represent themselves as a people. And all this time later, their children of today, we can read. We understand this, and we know now what their grandfathers could not have known. And the following information can be found in the U.S. Library of Congress, or the 1885 book called, and I quote, The Great Conspiracy by John Logan. See, they ain't hiding nothing. Everything, I'm protected by the law. These Negroes be lying to you, Moors, too. Here is one of the proposals, the proposed original 13th Amendments with the full body of the 20 sections. The full body of the 20 sections. Go on mypdfbooks.com and get Exhumed of the Nation. You're gonna be like, man, they lying. The truth will make you free. And I'm not gonna read all the 20 sections. I'm gonna go to the next part because we almost done. So after Congress would not pass the original 13th Amendment with the full body of 20 sections, instead they summarized the 13th to just 2 sections. Lincoln said, and not quite honestly, the Negro, would never be totally free under my people. Under my people. What people? What people you talk about? Huh? What people you talking about? The European people. Basically, the Albion, the Troglodyte, the one that said there was a caveman. Not me. I'll give you what you said. So how you going to say you civilized the world and you say you grew up in the cave and you call yourself a Neanderthal, a Troglodyte, and you grew up in the cave and you ain't had no shoes on your feet or no house or no running water or no electricity and you ain't wipe your ass and you going to tell me I'm less of? Man, get the hell out of here. Excuse my candor. I spoke just like this on college. Said, miss me with that shit. You should be upset when you know the truth and you think I'm just going to let somebody lie. I'm not allowing that. And basically, Congress, still days after 4 years of a bloody civil war, said with a loud voice, it only takes one section to abolish slavery, and we will throw in a second section stating Congress shall have power to enforce that one article by appropriate legislation. We do not need the other 18 sections. The European-packed Congress minded the Lincoln administration. The U.S. Constitution was not written for slaves, but to ensure domestic tranquility and to secure the blessings of liberty to us and our prosperity. Descendants, I ain't done. We almost there. Research what I'm saying. The 14th Amendment. When I say I warn Moors, our prophet warned Moors about the needless power of the 14th and the 15th Amendment. Later, I'm going to explain this to Moors and everybody that want to understand law and use things for scholarship. There's no need for the application of the 14th and the 15th Amendment for the salvation of us Moors. I explained already that 1865 and 1870, the amendments, and have made the determination that the 14th and the 15th Amendment is the sneakiest document of re-enslavement to have ever been written. The 14th Amendment alone is crippling and devastating until it later transformed every U.S. citizen from innocent sugar cubes to corporate sheets known as what? Straw men within the 60 years of ratification. The power of the South had been its slaves until losing the Civil War. The 1863 military strategy of the Emancipation Proclamation and the 1870 Negro Voters' Right Amendment provided the southern states were powerless without slaves. That's why the 14th and the 15th Amendment brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power. And since the Civil War was primarily fought between one brother in blue and the other in gray, the 14th Amendment, Moors, was actually a legal settlement or an agreed order, which took slavery from the gray dispensation and spread it to every state throughout the United States of the Blue Republic. This was the only way both brothers could settle the long-standing grievance about the power of owning and sustaining slaves in America. It must be remembered, nobles, that the founding fathers and their prosperity were and are fanatically, seriously about their slaves. So much so, they fought their mother country and then each other just to keep their precious human chattel. Am I lying about anything? We almost there. We got 20 minutes left. And people go to school all day and won't get this and won't support this. Rarely do many people of the United States realize the Congressional 13th Amendment was also a manumission treaty with the African descents of former slaves. And this document not only freed the slaves, but also simultaneously created a second new nation of people. The Treaty of Freedom was broken within 3 years of its ratification. So if you talk about some treaty which the United States broken, and then they must defend the Constitution, you have a right. By the convert and needless 14th Amendment, also living in the same sunlight of the European words, the so-called Negro, colored, and black people being backlash from the 1868 14th Amendment, still believe this congressional act made them citizens of the United States. He was like, man, where you get the feathers from? MooresHaberdasher.com. And all our feathers is made by hand with the proper perforation for symbology. If you say you're Moor, you should get a fez. I'll give you a free turban. It's really heartbreaking when most people discover that it is a divine, natural, and lawful impossibility to make a denationalized person property until a citizen of a free national government. A people are only free when they are true to themselves, pure, clean, and independent. So without the free national descendant name of our forefathers and our own true nationality, research Resolution 75. Then by divine and natural law, they are still slaves and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Property now owned by the U.S. government, its courts and laws. In short, this clause gave the USA assumed ownership, again, over the ex-slaves before they could wake up from the mental blow to the head that would make them a nation. All you got to do is go on MooresHaberdasher.com. We make them hand-fed. They take a couple weeks because the fezzes are made handmade. Go get your head measured, Go get your head measured. And for the right size, you don't want it too big. And I tell Moors, for me, I have a plethora of fezzes because sometimes I wrap my turban around them, and then I'm in the real world too. So I have a fez that I don't wrap turban around when I wear my suits. And so it's on you. If you don't have a fez yet, yes, MooresHaberdasher.com. Go right there and order your fez. MooresHaberdasher.com. MorrisHaberdasher.com and mypdfbooks.com. Go right now and pay it down and get you Exude of the Nation. I got over 20 books that I gathered and compiled to teach you about the basics of this Morris science. So, and with what I say, and with all due respect to the U.S. courts being the owner of the ex-slaves today, it is particularly their inheritance. That's why the 13th Amendment so-called frees the African to proclaim their forefathers' free national name and religion. But they didn't. The laws say it. When I talk about Revolution 75, you ain't got to do nothing. All we must do is defend the Constitution. I break down all these laws. Research the Revolution 75. Research the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15. Research the religious rights of the indigenous people. Research the FS of 181 form. And that's just a little peek of it. We have the right to annex our L and Bay. And over the centuries of observing every form of dehumanization contrived by man, the Negro, Black, and color had become too accustomed to European handouts. And worst of all, they had been knocked in the head so hard, they are still unconscious of themselves and their divine origins. When I tell you the European is not the joke of masonry, the Negro is, and Jabal, Jabel, and Jubalam, they tried to bury the Asiatic Moor in a shallow grave, and they used the maul. Come on, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then they put on your shirt in memory of Haram Abif, and then they got a tubal cane, a cane with some balls because they castrated you. Do y'all know what I'm telling you is the truth? And ain't no such thing as no damn widow son. 3 years later, 1865 to 68, was too brief of a period for any nation to undo chattel slavery. In 3 years, that ain't nothing. Plus salvage themselves from the aftermath of mental slavery. It was during this 3-year lull the 14th Amendment was fabricated, forming a legal constitutional death blow to the people freshly still born from slavery. Indeed, this now unfolds into the divine reason why our prophet Noble Drew Ali and why I still state, and I quote, "Since the United States Constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and the 15th Amendment for the salvation of us Moors." Let me say this again, and I quote, "Since the United States Constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and the 15th Amendments for the salvation of us Moors in America." That's a fact. All we got to do is defend the Constitution. Thanks for the donation. Somebody had to claim the slaves. I got all that on MorrisHaberdasher.com. I even got the tunics. I mean, the kuthras or the tunics, cotton or silk. Just like when I teach in the biblical scriptures, the followers of Yahshua, the Nazarenes, like in masonry, who answered that Nazarene call to build so-called Solomon temples? Haram Abif, the Moor from Tyre. In the biblical scriptures, it talks about how will we dress, our girdle, our sash. It talks about your turban in the biblical scriptures, and you wore it with the jewel on it. It talk about your bonnet, which the Muslims call a kufi. The followers of Yahshua wore their turban with the sash, all that, the girdle, sash, all that. See what that means when you get your Hebrew lexicon and see what it means in English, and then see if I'm saying something wrong. This is our national headdress of the Moors. And see if I'm saying something wrong. The followers of Yahshua wore turbans with the jewel on it, bonnets, silk or cotton, depending on your affiliation. Longer or short. Can't tell me I'm lying. Research it. Study it. Ask your phone a question. You got a smartphone. But it's heartbreaking, you know? And somebody had to claim the slaves. We almost done. On the surface, it will appear that the United States, so beloved its only begotten Negroes until it created special laws to make them citizens of the states. But since a slave without his or her nationality cannot be a citizen, it stands without constitutional law for the so-called Negro to be owned by the state of the United States because of the swordling hospitalities between the North and South. And at the very least, the U.S. government was forced to create the 14th Amendment. And it must be remembered, Moors and nobles, that the Civil War was fought over territorial lands west of the Mississippi and rebellious governments known as the Southern Confederate United States. It was not a conflict over slaves, although slaves were used as a military strategy to sway the victory of the Union. See? Noble said, keep going, more, wake my people up. Gratitude. Once the war was won, the old cliche of what? To the victor goes the spoils. came into full effect. The question of both North and South was, and I quote, "What shall we do with the ex-slaves?" This question had to be answered by male Europeans. A lot of this stuff is wrapped up in Freemasonry. Who was the greatest interest is the order of the land and property. Somebody, something had to assume rule, aka jurisdiction, over the freshly freed blind, the cast into the interior of a new union. And it was good Christian hospitality not to annihilate them instead. Perhaps this may have appeared as the only choice of the U.S. government officials had to make at that time. After all, the USA had never been without her slaves. And legally, Moors, this kind of possession is known as what? What is this kind of possession is known for all my Moors? Do anybody know? I'll wait. Do anybody know? Thanks for the donation. Yep, it's Cash App $KGB. One another noble like, man, I got your book last year. Oh, gratitude. I look, Divine Creed, Sufism and Triple Rose, the Adapt Chamber, the House of Ali. Man, I've gathered and compiled that stuff years ago. And it gives you the basics. Do anybody know what it's called? The USA has never been without her slaves. Legally, this kind of possession is known as what? Do anybody know? Do anybody know? I'll wait. Do anybody know? I'll go about 15 minutes later. I'll go, because I'm already almost 2 hours in. I'll go a couple minutes. My noble like, please finish. All right. And he was like, everybody give a donation for this brother can keep teaching. He was like, if he was in college, he was like, I've seen the brother at GCU. And everything he's saying is true. And them people give way more than what we giving him on YouTube. When I start showing y'all all the stuff I did on college campuses, y'all will see, like, the people be willingly coming and giving, like, man, it's nothing. But it's called assumable jurisdiction, which is the power the government or attorney gives themselves over the subjects, over subjects, property, or business, over subjects, property, or business. Actually, the word person, as used in the 14th Amendment, is a masterful work of deception and has fooled millions of the best legal minds in modern American history, especially these so-called sheiks. They just get mad when they don't know. Man, get out of here because you mad and you limited. Research what I'm saying. Those few that do know will not tell you because they were sworn to secrecy prior to receiving the information. Remember, all three of the Reconstruction Amendments ratified by Congress between 1865 and 70 were written exclusively about the slaves and ex-slaves. Research it. The most damaging by far is the 14th Amendment. Here, in this section, the word persons is always referring to ex-slaves. And it's a word held to protect the civil rights of the Negro, Black, and colored, but was broadened by the Supreme Court to include corporations, other properties, and businesses under its Equal Protection Clause. And this word is today as much as the 3/5 formula in the basic U.S. Constitution, which calls too bright of a light in the letter of the law. And through the Constitution, the word persons as applied to the African American or whatever misnomer they choose is still equivalent to the same individual and corporate property as always. So to sum it up, nobles, the 14th Amendment terminology, persons, person, and the word property are synonymous, the same. The Negro referred to in the unchanged 1779 U.S. Constitution as 3/5 is the same property referred to as persons in the 1868 14th Amendment, 89 years later. These is facts. Thanks for the donation. So you talk about some law and understanding history and law. I'm teaching you this in a crash course, and it'll take you years to get this science. They'll have you all in debt, hundreds of thousands. And I teach these students this, and they graduate with honors. And I be shutting them professors down because I have people under my auspices. Again, proving that the corporate United States of America, with the exception of 3 years, from 65 to 68, has never been without slaves. That's why Negroes today, African Americans, will never have true rights. The misnomers of Negro, Blacks, and color being the names of denationalized human property, were never designed to have rights. As labeled property, the Negro, black, and color can never have true rights because all rights are contingent upon what? Universal, natural, and civil laws. And before there can be rights, there must first be laws from which rights derive their strength. And since the misnomer Negro does not have a constitution or laws of autonomy from which to govern itself, he or she cannot have lawful rights. This is why the great Dred Scott decision of 1857 stated, and I quote, "The Negro has no rights that the true citizens are bound to respect." So why would you willingly identify as a Negro, black, and color, and according to science and law, black means death, and you will follow all these black religious people talking about you're black this, you black this, you black this? Huh? And I showed you films. Everybody knew about our prophet Noble Ali. I don't diss nobody. You give credit to Fard Muhammad, but our prophet Noble Ali brought this science to the American Negro. Farrakhan told you. And then the other brother tell you they'll double talk and lie to you, but tell the truth at the same time. This divine and civil law was ratified in the 14th Amendment under the word person and sealed in the section 4, which states, in essence, that Negroes, in parentheses, persons, whether free or slave, have no rights to compensation or reparations. So right there, that shut these goofy Negroes down when they on TV. No disrespect, Killer Mike and all that. They have shirts that say, kill your slave masters. Well, I ain't a slave, and the only way you a slave in the States. So if you talk all that black shit, what you saying your freedom is connected to blackness, this is a clear question. This ain't no hate. This is the law. Well, what do we call ourselves? Listen, the 14th Amendment under the word person and sealed in its section 4, which states in essence that Negroes, persons, whether free or slave, have no rights to compensation or reparations. According to science and law, means black. So every time these goofy Negroes, entertainers, go in there with that black stuff, the law is going to shut them down. I just gave you the law. Tell me I'm lying. This stuff is too simple. They don't want to have no conversation with me. And it ain't no, because this is law. And every European agree with me. Everyone. They be like, yeah, you're just talking law. They're like, we'll let your people get woe to sleep with religion. They don't want to deal with no law. So I operate with the right people. And we operate justly and do everything that we can do and that we want to do in the parameters of the law. And the law protects us. You talk about some reparations. How can you be talking about reparations? And blacks, it just told you, whether free or slave, have no rights to compensation or reparations. I just told you, Negroes, black, African Americans, persons, whether free or slave, have no right to compensation or reparations. So why you gonna keep talking about some reparations? I just told you a Negro, black, and color will never get no reparations. Anybody gonna get payment for a goofy slave in the United States is gonna be the slave masters, which they done before. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. So you can't get mad with the truth because the European got paid before for the black slave. For their chattel. Can't be mad at me. And I'm in favor of reparations just as any man. But this stately restitution is only reserved for what? Constituted governments, right? Come on. For atrocities imposed against another recognized nation, correct? Tribe, me as a tribal leader, the religious rights of the indigenous people, tribe, and or reserved from constituted governments for atrocities imposed against another recognized nation, tribe, and or family bearing the same free national name, one nationality, many cultures, or a family. We are a family bearing the same free national name annexed to our name given at birth. Come on, man. By design, the misnomer Negro, black, and color is neither of these. Thanks for the donation. To avoid paying reparations to slaves and descendants of ex-slaves is the main reason for Congress of the United States writing Section 4 in the de facto 14th Amendment recycle bin of the Negro, black, and color slave person identifications. This amendment is nothing short of a title of ownership and assumable jurisdiction of the free nation of people brought forth by Congress in the 13th Amendment. That's why the misnomer Negro, black, and color must be free as a people bearing one free national name. I don't want to talk about no religion. I'm talking about law. Then and only then will they be able to claim rights, which will draw its powers from their own constituted laws and principles. And until these laws are adhered to, the Negro, black, and colored will remain as chattel without rights. They can only function under granted privileges, as demonstrated shamelessly with the 15th Voting Privilege Amendment. And it has been the existing condition since the 3/5 clause of 1779, nobles. That's why when you see these people that graduate, they talk about they lawyers and all this stuff of the ABA exam. They will argue that the 3/5 clause and the Dred Scott decision were overruled by the 14th Amendment. They will lose this. I did this in college. All Europeans, they lost. They will lose this case when explaining how the same slave labels of Negro, black, and colored that lawfully began in 1779 are still certified as state-owned property today. Today, all this time later, when you look at your certificate of live birth, there is not an American ETC being another misnomer. And the egg slot of slave labels are exclusively where? Made in America. No disrespect. See, people they'll put stuff out there to think you stupid and then gotta apologize. I look at stuff, no disrespect. When Killer Mike had that shirt on, say, kill all your masters, well, that means you admitting you a slave, because I don't have no master. And only slaves here in the United States, that means you admitting you a black. And then all of those entertainers, no disrespect, they support a European politician, an old ass, no disrespect, an old person that don't look like you, and to run for positions in government, and we won't even run for these positions locally in our community. We should be putting our own educated people in there. But see, these Negroes getting a check. This is why privileges granted to property should never be misconstrued as being the same as true rights earned by citizens of a free national government. That's why the 15th Amendment of the last of the Reconstruction Amendments resulted from the great right of suffrage. Just like I show you in the biblical scriptures, when they cut off Samson's hair, that's an analogy of a parable of the Southern Belle cutting off the hair, the right to vote. I show you that in America history in black and white. It's called suffrage, the right of suffrage of 1870. This amendment gave guaranteed voting power to the free male Negro slave. But it was not because America loved her slaves. It gave them the right to vote as all citizens, quite contrary. But the assassination of President Lincoln, the South began pouring representatives of money, all this stuff in. We almost there. The Negro, black, and colored will perpetually remain as chattel without rights. Our prophet Noble Drali was the first to console. I'm in the flesh to console, to diagnose. Yep. I got all that. Yep. That's just extra. That's extra. That's a bill. That's extra. But stay in the context. I get that. Stay in the context. We stay in the parameters of the context. We stay in the context of the fact that we're saying. I get all that. But I'm explaining something. And that's why we stay in the context. I get all that. I understand all that, but we stay in the context. We got to stay with the basis. That's why I tell people, deal with the prerequisites. If we know all this, then we should be what we know. I'm what I know. If I know all this and I do all this and I say all this, then I defend it in the court of law and I defend the Constitution. I don't need a crowd. That's all I'm saying. If we know something, then defend the Constitution. That's all. I know my nationality. I know all that. I'm who I am on paper. I operate like that on paper. You know, I'm introducing the 13th and 14th Amendments to us and read everything, you know, and understand what I'm saying. And a lot of Negro, blacks, and colored convicted felonies, they're going to be pissed after reading what I'm saying. And you're going to go to your local libraries. And you would be surprised the plan to keep ex-slaves holding steadfast to slave names all this time later. You would be surprised. You would be surprised. It already been proven. You can no more make a bond citizen out of a Negro, black, and colored than make a Muslim eat swine during a pillage at the holy Mecca. Balance is this lawful history, with the United States officially losing its sovereignty in 1871, returning to its original corporate status as when it was just British colonies. And your summation will be simply this: all crimes committed since 1871 are commercial crimes and cannot be part of any legal proceedings. True constitutional governments do not have nor nor corporate courts, because corporations are merely property themselves, and corporate courts cannot preside over natural persons judicially. A black political hostage is a state of encompassment. It is the state of unnatural existence that invokes and involves and engulfs the so-called black people, which is seen by the masses, yet is largely unnoticed due to its obscure definition. In essence, Moors, the state of substance is the colorable, legalized enslavement of a nation of people held here in the United States of America. And to reveal this phenomenon, it's necessary to dissect the word black, political, and the word hostage. Black, in this context, please stay in context, is only a word, not a color, which according to science means death, void of light, absent of life, negative. When we talk about the machination of a Maya people, political, the practice influences of a government, anything pertaining or relating to the policy or administration of government, state or mind, the exercise of the function vested in those charged with the conduct of government to control its public policy, the exercising of governmental powers, hostage, any person, persons with an S, family, tribe, national, or people. So how you gonna say you got to bear your free national name that make you a family, a tribe, a national, or a people once free, now captured, usually kidnapped from alien origin, held against his or her will, with their freedom and or life or service to stand as ransom for security. Listen, man, I'm doing the whole dissertation when I go back to Flint, Michigan, and I'm gonna show y'all how you got all these brothers locked up and because they can't get out of jail for bond. So I'm like, so you telling me they being held for bond, and you know these brothers is poor? That's a game, and it's only done to misnomer Negro, blacks, and colored. I'm gonna show you this, and you got all these brothers locked up for nonviolent crimes, for traffic violations. I told y'all that wasn't no crime. I show you this. So therefore, ain't nobody fighting for these people that's being locked up and being held captive for things that's not criminal over for a bond. And you got people sitting in jail for nonviolent crimes for years, and we ain't gonna fight for them. Watch how everything change. Hostages takes in the U.S., ironically, is a federal crime. See Title 18 U.S.C.A. 1203, and nearly always involves various kidnapping statuses. Technically, these are polite legal terms to soften the impact of the unlawful taking of human beings, realized as an act of kidnapping, enslavement, or in other cases, European women misnomered white slavery. Right? So, what I'm saying, the origin of the black political hostage began with the transfer of slave ownership from the powerless Sutherland to the constitutional fold of government for the restoring United States. And most people, especially the misnomer Negro, black, and colored, assume that either the Emancipation Proclamation or the 13th and the 14th Amendment freed the slaves and made them citizens nobles. But in fact, these documents, enacted during the 5-year period, 1865 to 70, did not free them unconditionally, but merely transferred, merely transferred them as property from one owner to another, from the Southern rebellious Confederate States to throughout every state within the Union States. Meanwhile, it is true that the 13th Amendment did in fact abolish the institution of slavery in the United States or the USA. But it's also equally true that no one told the newly freed people that they were a nation. And this law only brought temporary harmony and satisfaction between the Scott and the York Rights. I'm talking about these Masons in both the North and the Southern and the South when I break down Freemasonry. And during these 5 years of power consolidation, the productive businesses of slavery became the most paramount of all political issues. I'm telling y'all the truth. So I like to stop right there, man, because I got some work to do. Oh, one of my nobles said, please give one more. He said, man, I just gave you a $50 donation. He said, I know you're not done because there's another part. I'll give y'all this last part. I done this stuff so many times. But he said, can you get that part about reparations? I'll give that part about gratitude to you and your mother, man, for the donation. But the truth about reparations and ex-slaves in the United States. Why so-called black people will always be denied reparations. First, it must be stated that I'm in favor of reparations in the form of both land and monies to be paid by the United States to the survivors of slaves and ex-slaves. I'm with that. I'm with all that. But I also must say in the same breath, reparations will never be given to misnomer Negro, blacks, colored people, like those who also call themselves African Americans. These people in any of the aforementioned statuses simply do not have the legal, historical, or national muster to merit reparations. So when you go in these courtrooms talking all that black shit, they sitting there like you don't even have merit to muster reparations. And too often, novel historians make the unjust mistake of not studying the law when they study a particular history. And a lot of Moors call themselves sheiks is guilty of that. Law governs all events. I got the Moorish documents. I done lectured this already. I can use the Moorish Quran. Some of my nobles is on here. Law governs all events. I'll show y'all. So from our adapt teachings, law governs all events. And how you gonna deny something that can be proven? And this includes history, although no history is an exact science because it's usually written by who? The conquerors. And most conquerors care very little about the past events of those they have conquered. That's why it's for us to tell a story, for us to go get that education and remove the veil of religious dogma that and that Negro-centric propaganda. You know, this is to say that the slant placed upon most historians have the same origin as the description of crimes that's told by the criminal. Yeah. And very little consideration is ever given to the values of the victim. What on earth would make the Negro, black, and colored think that the United States of America would tell the so-called black slaves the main reason they ain't getting no reparations coming because they are black? There is but one true way as a people can duly receive reparations. And upon this setting, let us examine this historical phenomenon with a legal prospectus. We use our legal eye. Reparations, the black laws what every Negro love. No disrespect. Oh, I got black laws. Okay, whatever. Okay, fine. 6th edition. Payment for injury or damage. Redress for a wrong done. Several states have adopted the Uniform Crime Victims Reparation Act. Certain federal statutes, also Future Trading Act, may seek reparations under the Act. Violation 7 USCA 18. Thank for the donation. Payment made by 1, the act of making amends for a wrong. 2, compensation for any injury or wrong, especially for wartime damages or breach of an international obligation. Breach of an international obligation. So when you identify as a Negro, it ain't no breach of international obligation because you a slave. You ain't international. Negroes are only in America. Reparative injunction, an injunction requiring the defendant to restore the plaintiffs. I'm giving you the law terminology. Reparative injunction, an injunction requiring the defendant to restore the plaintiff to the position that plaintiff occupied before the defendant committed the wrong. There you go, right there. Preventative injunction. Only about 1 in every 5,000 well-trained, miseducated Negro, blacks, and colored Americans know since 1868 that the 14th Amendment has declared reparations to all persons subject to its jurisdictions as unconstitutional. Tell me I'm lying. This means especially those United States ex-slaves and their descendants. Do not be deceived by the hundreds of individual groups like all these Black Lives Matters, all this stuff. Talk about reparations now. And all reparations now movement are being showcased by who? These misnomer black U.S. law professionals, legal firms, political leaders, and civil rights activists. They acting, followed by flocks of sincere individuals that get misused and groups demanding compensation owed for centuries of unpaid slave labor. But you under the wrong banner. Whether innocent or ignorant, they are now pursuing realms reserved for all free national beings. And in their pursuit of reparations today, African Americans are attempting to wade into the very depth of international while dry docked by the de facto slave labels of Negro, Black, Colored, African American. And with all due respect to my Moorish brothers and sisters that don't know, these celebrities are being dangled in front of the masses of the Negro, Black, and Colored like a ripened carrot in front of a donkey. No disrespect, because people show me stuff. When you had T.I. and all those brothers on there talking about what we gonna call ourselves, have me on there and I'll give you law. I'll show you what they got in all government houses, what you were called before the Civil War. Because a little tittle of black blood in you, that means you were Negro, Black, and Colored. See, that's the truth. The color spectrums come from dark to light, not the other way. And it does not take much memory to recall there are masterful reasons why slaves have never been allowed to have leaders at any time in the history of slavery. Slavery in the United States has been no different, except occasionally the makers of Negroes will systematically reward bails, degrees of unauthorization to the conform blind. Habitually, the black hordes believe these experienced leaders are safe to follow. Meanwhile, the head of the donkey is so focused on the American dream. It can't tell the masses that its ass is hauling a denationalized cargo of the 40s, the colored, the 50s, the Negro, the 60s, Black, 70s, Afro-American, Afram, and the 90s, African-American. When Jesse Jackson and all them got paid for you at the African-American summit to call your ass a slave. Come on, man. So, with that being said, man, I love you all. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for taking time out your day. You know, gratitude, the truth will make you free. I'm here for solutions. I'm not here to talk about a whole bunch of things that don't mean nothing. I'm not here to talk about somebody else's plate. I'm telling you what we can do, what we have the right to do. If we have educators and scholars like myself and others that's teaching others a scholarship, academia, history, physics, about tax code, about international law, training our people about all levels of finance, well, why our own people don't use myself to teach you as well. And I do this in academia. And I do this for my people for small donations. We'll pay for all other things, but act like it's a problem when a teacher that's taxes in for the federal government asks for a donation from his people when he doing a live broadcast. And I give you books. I don't think it's nothing wrong with that. And we'll willingly go to church. And we'll willingly, when we get in trouble, we'll pay a court-appointed attorney. So why give money to get in trouble and defend ourselves when we broke the law? And we can do the same thing and give donations to keep us free and resurrect us and be known as a people and have a tribal leader and do things the right way and teach our babies. All these documents, all these books that I show you, I have available. I have Exhuming of the Nation available on mypdfbooks.com right now for what? I think $75. Let me tell you what these empresses I deal with in my city of Flint, because they on my page. She says, you ain't got to tell me twice. She said, it's 20 women that's under your auspices here, and we follow you live. She said, every book, we just put money together and get everything. She said, it's that simple. She said, you always say this. She said, like minds deal with each other. The bluebirds be with the bluebirds. The red birds be with the red birds. I ain't saying I don't have compassion, but I deal with like minds. I don't have time dealing with people that ain't into what I'm doing. I deal with people that deal with me, and that's how we help each other. So if you in the science and in the learning, and you say you study this and study that, you should have every holy book. You should get with your people and be like, man, this sheet got these books PDF converted. We should be getting all these books. Man, I'm a Moor, but I don't have a fez. I should get my fez already from this brother. And any other thing else, I'll support this brother consistently, because once we get the brick and mortar, it's going to be available for Moors to come. For Moors to come to the universities, for Moors to use the platform, for Moors to use our library, our gym. For Moors to come, learn skilled trades. For we can teach our young kids that they're not crazy. For you can get them off that Ritalin. And be willing to give donations when you got to still work in the summertime and they can come and be dealing with me for the summer camp. Why don't you want to pay for that? But we'll pay when our kids get locked up because we'll get them goofy ass court appointed attorneys. That's what we'll do. Like I'm telling y'all, that's why they took all the skilled trades and things out of schools and put them in the prisons. This shit is calculated in the fourth grade. They already calculated the conspiracy to destroy black boys and girls, and this was written back in the early 80s. I'm here now, educated in the flesh. Why do we do scholarship? And all those brothers that was teaching, that was in those platforms, was educated brothers teaching you. Sheikh Anadiab, Ivan Van Sertima, who Francis Krause Wilson, Amos Wilson, who Dr. Ben. All these brothers was educated. So why we afraid of me when I come educated? Deuce Muhammad, all these brothers, I'm able to go and teach. I'm not coming from no biased perspectives. So why we don't want to follow that? Why we don't want to support that? Or we'll let everybody else learn about us and we won't learn, and we have our brother that's consecrated and anointed on all levels to teach this from no biasness. I say you make the decision, but I hope you make the decision on law, something that can be proven, and not basing your stuff on somebody, what they saying, because everything can be proven and people have to admit their limitations. Especially if you put a title on yourself. If you put a title on yourself and say you some grand sheik and some master teacher, well then it got to be some understanding, some peer-reviewed scholarship. When you see another master come in that might be over you with wisdom, you got to accept it and research it. If not, that's crazy. And that's what we do as Moors. Brothers would diss each other, and I said, well, we ain't came together. Everybody want to be better than somebody. The truth has no size. I heard them more saying, oh, somebody got that from me. And I said, well, dude, you should be happy they got that from me. If it's history, I want people to share true history. Isn't that the main mission? Oh, that man got that from me. I want everybody to take what I'm saying and share it. I want everybody to share it, but you get these brothers that come with this garbage and say, oh, this person got this from me. Like I heard him more when he held up a book called Nature Knows No Color Line, and another more, he jumped on some other more page and said, you got that from me. I said, how can this brother be so arrogant to say somebody got that from them and the science is older than that man? That's just like saying NBA players hating on new players today because they making that bag because I was first. I don't give a damn if you was first. You wasn't in that time. Oh, so your mission ain't to share the information? That's sad. And other people be wanting to be somebody God and don't be having no pupils under them. They be on the internet. They be activists. They be complaining. So if you're that holy and then they say, well, I don't want to have a school. I don't want to have that. Well, what's the purpose? What's the God? You're not a guide. Because the leader leads and it's people that follow that. There's nothing wrong with that. That be us. The first thing we do, we don't compare and say, hey, this is rocking. We deal with characters. We're not here for characters. We could have been came together. I broke down tax codes, how to donate, and I can give you a taxes and receipt. I'll show y'all how the federal government, at one point, they said you can only give 60% of your tax income that you owe taxes to your charitable religious contribution of your choice. And now today you can give 100%. We should have been giving donations and fulfilling our tax obligation. Why would we give Uncle Sam anything and we don't have to? And we can support the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, and I can give you a tax exempt receipt. Everything. It's no reason. That's all I'm saying. I'm not here to beg, but I'm telling you, this is what we can do. This is what's been done. And we can give money with offerings and get a tax exempt receipt. That's why I say we don't use our money to support what we love. We spend it on dumb stuff. Let me show you how they took all misnomer black fashion designers out the stores and bought them out and put them in little cheap stores like Ross and Value City when those was out, and put all these expensive designer in your face. Now you don't have no one that look like you that can give back because they're not making no money. Everybody's supporting all these designers. You saw Jim Jones in Gucci store for 2 hours make a video. See, you ain't been here for this long. They ain't gave me no water or nothing. No disrespect. People send me stuff, and our bill is $29,000. So here it is, you in the store that they don't give a shit about you. Ain't nobody coming to say nothing. They send a fat, goofy black man out to try to say something, and you about to spend 29 bands in the Gucci store. No disrespect. I just show you what people, how they feel. And I ain't counting nobody pocket. This is what the stuff they show you. Yeah, I do this in the city. Okay, but why are you showing all this and not showing that? Have some balance. If I'm driving around a Lamborghini and I got all these diamonds and I say I'm for the people, I damn sure should have facilities and all that. That's all I'm saying. And we can support what we're doing. No reason, no more on this page should be going to Amazon to get any books, any literature. MyPDFBooks.com, we have all. And each week we're converting books to PDFs. Each week we converting books to PDFs. MorrisHaberdasher.com for all your Moorish American regalia and much, much more. Every Moor on here should get a fez. Any questions, man? I love y'all. Any questions? And thanks for the donations. If everybody sent one, if you didn't send one, I understand. I hope Allah place it on your heart next time to give a donation. And don't be mad when you try to subscribe on my page again and I blocked you. Please don't be mad. I just hope Allah placed on your heart that if I'm saying something that you like and you are returning a student on here that I'm teaching, I hope Allah placed it on your heart to give a donation. If not, I understand. And that means it don't mean nothing to you. And don't be mad at me when I block you, because I have 11 people on here. So please don't be mad if I block you. Respect me like I respect your right not to give. That's okay. And respect my right not to allow you on this platform. I respect you and you respect me. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. So gratitude, Moors. Any questions? I'll leave it up for a couple minutes to answer a couple questions. I hope y'all keep it respectable. If not, I'm gonna block you and I'm done. Any questions? If you want to check out Sunday School this Sunday, subscribe to our Temple and School page on Instagram. It's burningbushtabernacle.ts, because I don't broadcast Sunday School live. I don't. I do it on our Temple and School page on Instagram, and one of my nobles just do a snippet like 10 minutes, sometimes maybe 4 minutes, because I try to get all Moors to join our Sunday School privately on Zoom. So any questions, Moors? No question? I'm getting ready to go upstairs and work out. Subscribe to my workout page on Instagram. It's called I Am the Moorish Trainer on Instagram. I Am the Moorish Trainer on Instagram. MoorishHaberdasher.com is on Instagram as well. Any questions, Moors? Support what we love. Why do the Masons think that the science is hidden? I never understood that. If you go back to a lot of my teachings, I just taught this. Go on my YouTube page and teach. I teach all this stuff. That's why I said, get the Exhumed of the Nation. That's why I tell Moors. All I do is teach history. I'll show y'all. Get the Exhumed of the Nation and go to a chapter 7. It's called Freemasonry and the Illuminati. I explained this before. And then I go in the Philosophical Research Society. I teach the science. And then I'll show you even more in more documents how they connotate and hide the science. You know, I explained this plenty times on lectures. Go on there and look. That's why I said subscribe to my Instagram pages. I broke down Freemasonry and the Illuminati. I broke down what European Freemasonry is. I broke all this stuff down. I don't want to stay in that, but I taught that before. You know, I taught that before. I told you who's buried in a shallow grave. I told you about who Jabal, Jabloom, and Jubilee is, and how they buried you in the North Gate and used them all. I told you how the Masons, when they talk about the tomb with the pentagram and the Akasa tree over that, I break all that stuff down. I show you all the signs and symbols. I always be transparent. The European is not the joke of Masonry, because the European know he is son of a Muslim. I teach the science, the Masonic coffin and the African acacia tree. That's why the prefix, when I talk about the prefix MORT, always relate to death. The word mortality refers to the human death on a massive scale. I break all that down. I show y'all, I do this. That's why when I tell Moors, when they Prince Hall Masons, they be lying. But I don't want to stay into that. You asked a question, and I said I taught about that. If nobles want to give donations, I'll do a whole lecture on that. I'll do a whole nother lecture tomorrow on this. It's known. I teach this, we know. It's no mystery. It's no mystery. That's why I'm saying we'll go to movies and get rap albums, go pay to listen to somebody rap, and they won't donate nothing back. I donate back. I tell you the Masonic story of Hiram Abiff. I break that down. You know, the African brother named Hiram Abiff, who was also a master of the building tools, the sacred school of the Nazarite. This pestilent brother is a ring leader of the Nazarite. What's that, Acts 24:5? It's showing you. I'm showing you history. An African brother named Hiram Abiff, who was also a master builder of the tools, also answered this Nazarite call. There was one Hiram from the kingdom of Tyre, the capital of which was Sidon in your Bible, the village of Zepharat, the village of Sepharat, you know, the village of Zepharat, where he lived with his mother. One of Haram's specialty was constructing pillars. The purpose of a pillar is to support that which is above with that which is below. Haram's headdress, called the fez, depicted the mastery of our craft. Reading your biblical scripture, 1 Kings, the 7th chapter. The other biblical Haram is from Tye. Haram Abith became the master builder of so-called King Solomon Temple in Jerusalem. One day, as Haram with his tools was on his assigned route, the three Rufins savagely attacked him. The three robbers named Jublum, and Jubalim. They stole Haram's tools and clothes. The three assailants were from the sun-cursed tribes. I don't want to go on and on, but I'm just setting a highlight. Religion plus slavery equals Freemasonry. Just like I tell you, ain't no such thing as the widow's son. The widow's son is a myth made from the minds of Western Freemasonry and cloaked in secrecy. It ain't nothing secret with me. You don't see my tassel pinned down. As most lies originate from the degree of truth, or as most jokes are founded upon realities of life. Also, all the European Masonic rituals, the signs, the tools, the symbols are diluted reflections of African originations. The so-called widow son is no exception to these fundamental human principles. In European Masonry and Negro Masonry, the widow son is described of the Western African god-man whose code name is Haram Abith. Haram Abith, the widow son. And generally, code names are used by secret societies, governments, officials, military, intelligence, and other worldly thinkers to do what? Conceal true identities of the operations and agents. Code names are nom de plumes, trickle down to the hoi polloi and used as nicknames, aliases, aka stage names, aka pseudonyms or pseudium. That's like pen names. When they talk about Flavius Josephus, that wasn't no first Bible. Pen names. No matter the social level, deception or false identifications are used to hide the correct and proper person or place. Right? Haram Abith, the widow's son, originated from the same European minds which created the names Negro, black colored people, 3/5 Claw, Blue-Eyed Yahshua, trust and legal tender of man-made gods, formed from the bust of past presidents, and of course, America's first sheeted terrorist. Come on, man. The life of the widow begins with the death of her husband, and she has not remarried. A widow is a respected and unprotected woman. An unprotected woman is a first alert denoting the fall of a nation when you look at the atrocities of the single woman. Symbolically, the widow is a code word descriptive of a nation in adversity who cannot defend itself or prosper because its government and power has become substandard. See? Marriage bonds, all that stuff. And it can be no widow while Allah is the husbandman. What our prophet and what I teach the Moors about the widow's son, the first thing that our prophet teach and the first thing that I teach the Moors is actually the very last thing a Mason earns, the privilege to know who made you. Man is the thought of Allah. All thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured up by time. Man himself is not the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. So spirit man, God man, and seed of Allah held deep within himself the attributes of every part of Allah. Now seeds are perfect as the source from which they come. But they are not unfolded into life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed, must deeply plant it in the soil that he might grow, unfold, and does not bud. Unfold the flower. The human seed that come forth from the heart of Allah was fully ordained to be the Lord of the plane, the soul, and the plane of things made manifest. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth his human seed into the soil of soul, and it grew apace, and man became a living soul, and he and she became the Lord of all things and all the kingdoms of the soul. So I want to stop right there, man. Y'all know Jubilo, Jublam, and Jubalim. The symbolic names of Jubilo, Jubla, and Jubalim shelter the shame of the identities of the assassins of Haram Abith, aka the widow's son. They are designed to show that they are different chords of the same instrument. Y'all know I'm telling you the truth. All this stuff is ours. So I don't want to stay too deep in that, but you asked a question and I like to give you a little bit, but I challenge you to study. I challenge Morris, deal with me. Get the literature. I have it. I teach it. And I just, gave a plethora of the science. But thank you everyone for the donations. Any other questions before I leave? Any other questions? I gave you all our platforms. Any other questions? Noble, my books that I gathered and compiled. And especially if you don't have the Morris Quran, everything that I teach through the Morris Quran. Law is the order of the day. Everything I teach is through the Morris Quran. But I hope you get the Examen of the Nation, because this is our contemporary. This is our Bible. This have a lot of books in it. Silent Brotherhood of the East, a lot of stuff. It clears it up. This is something I recommend you read from the front to the end. I recommend you get the Morris Quran. I recommend you get the Silent Brotherhood of the East. I recommend you get the Discover Key questionnaires. I recommend you get the Quranic Study Guide. I recommend you get the Catechism to understanding the Quran. I recommend you get the Unto Thee I Grant, the Rosicrucian Manual that goes with the Quran. All those books that go with the Quran. I recommend you get the Paradigm of Understanding the Quran. I recommend you get the Adapt Science. I recommend all that. It ain't no one. That's why I be saying this is not no shake rate era. Our prophet says study, study. And when you think you know some, study some more. And attach yourself to somebody that'll teach you more science systematically. So it ain't no quick fix. And I'm not saying you're looking for a quick fix. That's how a lot of Moors get themselves in trouble. And I say it's no quick fix. No book is not going to make you right. The teachings, the heart makes you right. And that's the closest place to find Allah. If a person couldn't read and hear to the person giving them the science, and if their heart is pure, they just as good or better than that person that can read and their heart ain't right. Because if I'm interpreting and I'm giving oral statements and they trust and they believe in and their heart is based on Allah, they pure. Because I'm pure. So learn. Morris Quran, all those books that I just stated, all those books, become a student. That's why I tell a person, that's like if you meet a good teacher and that person say, hey man, this person a teacher, and they say, man, I want to learn. And that person say, well, I have a school. I teach systematically. I have Sunday school. I have adapt lessons. I teach history. I teach civics. I teach working out. The only way is to become a student. And then if a person don't know how to read, and then you would give a person a manual, and I say what these words mean, the etymology, the synonyms, what they mean in this language, I don't know. So then you need an interpreter that can interpret the words for what they meant then and today and put them in a proper context. And don't let nobody arbitrarily explain law and history and civics and finance to you. That's what I'm saying. So as a scholar, I can't just recommend one book. I recommend a plethora of books because they all synchronize and you can all go together. That's how you cross-reference from with the Bible and the Quran and this and that. It all synchronized. So it's not just one. Just like a person say, oh, I want this and this, where not this. I say it's all of that. And you must be willing to be a student. That's my answer to it. If a person not willing to be a student and not be guided, I don't have an answer for a person. That's my answer. There's no way. I'm not here to convince you. I said I want you to study for yourself and build your library up. And I'm just a guide and a map to assist, to make sure we're going on the right path, to have dialogue. And so if a person asks me what to study, all the books. I just dropped down 9 books, and I ain't even add my books with it. The Divine Creed of Moorish Islam, Sufism and the Triple Rule of the Adapt Chamber, House of Ali, and our Adapt Manual. All those you need those too. You also need my book, The 10 Scholars Who Debunk Eurocentric Propaganda. You also need my 14 Famous Asiatic Scientists in History. You also need my Healthy Eating and Living book, where I show you how to work out, where I show you how to eat smoothies. You also need my clean cooking book and my clean snack book. That's what I tell people as a student. I'm never going to shut nobody light out. That's what Europeans do when they try to give you this and give you this for they can control your essence, or they can give you what they call in scholarship program learning. Nobody can program learn me because I was able to study and cross-reference. I'll be in the laboratory with my test tubes and beakers. That's why I tell people about law. If you don't know nothing about restrictions and how law can change from monthly to yearly, just like I broke down when they said tax law, you only can give 60%. Now you can give 100%. You got to know this. You got to be current on law. That's why in scholarship, we say we are walking contradiction. Why? Because what might have worked 10 years ago as a doctor, you got to be in a laboratory with your test tubes and your beaker to say, hey, we improved on this. Why? Because we continue to doing the work. We're not dealing with a dead gospel, aka the Bible. We're dealing with a holistic gospel so we can continue to add on. That's why only a person in the flesh can reach back in the past and then add on to the future, not vice versa. So that's what I tell everyone. Become a student and learn. And let's guide and let's sit down as a people, which we say we can do, which we can be private, which all this law stuff we saying we can do. Why don't we flex the law and support exactly what we're doing? No disrespect to the person that answered that question, but a lot of people just want me to what book, and give them something and say they got it and they be lost. And then say, well, this person said this. And I say, I ain't say none of that shit. And I say, a person ain't my student. They jumped on my page, heard one thing and ran with it and got themselves in trouble. Become a student. That's our will and sacrifice. That's the part about being Moorish. When you find something, you're supposed to rock with it. You're supposed to give donations. You're supposed to be a part of it. You're going to get everything worth value. So that's my only solution to anybody. If your kid was playing sports and you know I train in basketball and I train in defense and I train how to think, you're going to pay me to train your kid and I'm only going to charge a donation. And I'm going to train your kid in the classroom and on the court. And they're going to be better than anybody because I'm going to teach them how to think. I'm going to get them in shape. So, any questions? Support. That's the answer I have for it. And all those books are on mypdfbooks.com. And go on Amazon and see how much those books cost and see what I have them for. So if you're serious, all those books that I dropped down, you need the Moorish Quran, you need the Silent Brotherhood of the East, the Catechism, Discover Key Questionnaires, the Quranic Study Guide, my books, The Divine Creed, Sufism, The House of Ali. You need this Examen of the Nation, you need Unto Thee I Grant, and then a whole bunch of other plethora of manuals that you need. And that's just starting off. Any other questions? Any other questions? Hold on, let me see what he wants. Say what, no? My fault, I had somebody pull up. So, any other questions? I'll wait, because I've been going for a minute. Any questions? Gratitude for the donations. Any other question? And we out of here. So please, nobles, next time if you log on and you won't be able to get access, please don't be mad at me. That's all. Do the bros in the lodge get upset about you dropping this lodge? Why do I care? Listen, I'm a Moor. I don't care about no bros in the lodge. That's what I say. I ain't worried about nobody's feelings. This is what I tell people. If the European agree with me, why do I care about a bro? Why do I care about somebody that identify as black? I don't care about that. I don't care about how nobody feel, because the truth will make you free. That's our problem. We care about how somebody feel. I don't give a shit about how none of them brothers feel. Zero. None. Because none of them can do nothing for me. The European that they be praying to come and hear me teach. Sit on their hands and they'll tell you. So why do I care about some bros that won't tell you the truth about this science? I care about my dad and my mom. I don't care about no brother that'll hide the truth from you and talk that white man stuff and all this. But then they do the same thing that some misnomer white man done to you. They'll do the same thing, lie to you. So you asked me a question, I answered it. Why would I care about some bros? They not my bros. When you identify Negro, black, and color, not my bro. Not my bro when you come with that Greek stuff and you call yourself a Greek god and bow down to the Greek stuff and sign a blood oath. I ain't with that. And every Mason sign a blood oath. It's not to tell the truth of the matter. I'm not with that. You know? I'm not with that. I'm not with no bros. You know? Because when a person say, bro, that is not my affiliation. When you will lie to somebody, when you will send your own people into a burning house, how can I say you my bro? How can I fact check everything that they have passed on? I fact check it. And most Negroes don't wear the fez. I asked them, do they wear the fez in clandestine? Ask them, do the fez represent the Asiatic woman? And do it represent the 9 ethers? Ask them that. Ask them that. Ask them that. Ask them, do the fez, the white fez with the gold tassel represents the the Eastern Star, our Asiatic women. Ask them what that gold tassel about. Ask them if this fez 9 to the 9th to the 9th power. Ask them, when you take this fez and turn it out inside out, is that the Liberty Bell? What was taken from you? Leviticus 25:10. Ask them, is this not the Liberty Bell? Ask anybody with some sense. Ask the Masons, is this not the Liberty Bell that I'm representing on my head when you turn the fez inside out? Ask them. Ask them. Ask them. I'm talking about laws. Ask them. They ain't gonna tell you. I'm telling you the truth. So do you think I care about somebody that identified as 32 degrees, which is a snowman? That's in meteorology when water freezes. If you identify as 32 degrees, that's in meteorology when water freezes. Man, that ain't shit but snowman wisdom. That's 360 degree of wisdom. And I'm telling you, you dealing with 720. And I can time that 720 and make it 1440 when I go to the third heaven. Because 360 degrees is just the sum total of material wisdom. But 720 is the sum total of both material and spiritual. So if we know this stuff, why don't, when people say stand strong, we should stand strong in our square and scream this with a bullhorn, and all of us come together as what? Vanguards of what? The truth. If we know this, we should be saying the same thing. And it's synonymous, the algorithm. Everybody should be supporting what I'm saying. Amor jumped on my page yesterday, was like, man, I've been following you for 3 years. You've been following me for 3 years, ain't gave a donation, ain't bought books and nothing. So what's the purpose? What's the purpose? What's the purpose? We're not going to spread it and share it. What's the purpose? Like I tell people, ain't nothing secret with me. It's sacred. And that's the problem with a lot of people. We know something and won't even share it because we afraid. You afraid? Afraid of what? Man, my baby brother killed Jelani Goodman Bay was killed by a Negro. My cousin Miguel Swain was killed by a Negro in front of our homie house. My homie Mike Ville was killed by his own brother. I can go on down the fucking line. Most brothers that I go into prisons and mentor to, they done did crimes against each other. So what are we talking about? Afraid of what? And I'm not saying I'm just answering these when people be coming with this goofy stuff, this spookism. And I say, man, the European will tell you he or she is the son of Muslim. I just told y'all a lot of my college professors was potentates. I taught them. My book, Divine Creed of Moorish Islam, Sufism and the Triple Rule of the Adapt Chamber, and the House of Ali. I have my parents come downstairs and ask you and show y'all what them European Masons professors tried to do at GCU. I don't have nothing in the description. At GCU, those professors tried to buy all my books, the copyrights for my books. Let me see, can I put my links up here? I never typed on here. Let me see. I don't know what I'm doing, man. I think if my Noble's on here, can you type my links, Noble, before we get off? I think a couple of my Nobles on here. I got to figure out how to work this because I'm still learning a lot too. But let me write my links down so I can hold it up on a piece of paper so I don't have to say them all at one time. Maybe that'd be easier. So I'll do some of my Instagram links to my sites. If y'all would like to log on to subscribe to some of my sites on Instagram. On Instagram, it's Burning Bush Tabernacle.ts. That's our Temple and School page on Instagram. I'm sorry, I said Amazon. But on Instagram, our Temple and School page is Burning Bush Tabernacle.ts on Instagram. MoorishHaberdasher.com is our business site where you can get all your Moorish American regalia and much, much more. Fezzes, your Moorish American she-mags, tunics, everything, and much, much more. We make our own clothing and everything. That's MoorishHaberdasher.com. MoorIsh, Haberdasher, HABERDASHER.com. Moorish Haberdasher is our Temple and School business webpage. Also, mypdfbooks.com. My is lowercase. pdfbooks.com is our website for our PDF online bookstore where you can get all your Moorish American books and much, much more literature. mypdfbooks.com. Once you buy books, you can download them right there to your tablet, your email. You can go to Office Max and Staples, have them print them and bind them. I think that's it. Oh, bbtsciencetemple.com is our Temple and School webpage. bbtsciencetemple.com. You can leave a message on there if you want to be a member and student and join us privately. We'll get you our syllabus and our enrollment package, because it's some things contingent on being a member of students. And when you see the value of what it is to be a member and student, and that small membership fee monthly, and that one-time small membership fee to be a member and student to get your feds and your 7 books, it's nothing. All the value you're going to get, and you get tax exempt receipt, because we tax exempt for the federal government. So those are platforms. I'm also on Instagram because I do personal training. And on Instagram, my workout page is I Am the Moorish Trainer on Instagram. IAMTHE Moorish Trainer. I Am the Moorish Trainer on Instagram. So thank you, everybody, man. Support, man. Become a member, become a student. Get the literature as I keep uploading more and more literature. Right now, we in the progress. We just purchased an ancient book. It's called what it's called, y'all? It's not Arabia. Of the latter days. But in that science, what a lot of Masons take, and I'm gonna show you, it's all the Osiris text. And then I'm gonna show you how the European, every time they get science and they think they know something, they put the L or the Bell in their name because that's pertaining to a higher station. I'm gonna show you how they put L, L-E, and they put all this L on their stuff. They know. And we don't use this stuff. And so we taking all holy books and stuff that's expensive and converting them PDFs, making them feasible for our brothers and sisters. Everyone should be frequenting our pages every day. So there's no reason to go to Amazon and buy books. Anything that you would buy on Amazon, we convert it to PDF for a fraction of the price. Any book that you see on Amazon that costs a lot, I convert them to a PDF. All a person have to do is ask if you don't see it on there. But I have a plethora of books on there. And as I'm teaching, I offer books because I have a whole database of books. But let me get out of here, man. I love y'all. Peace and love.